4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the palatial yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to what is a Tuesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all the great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 375, the free Odyssey app, and as always, streaming on YouTube. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476 is the number to jump on board. We'll take you all the way up until 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time. And we got a loaded show for you today. Coming up in the final hour of the show on a Tuesday at 5:35 p.m. Eastern time, the former Notre Dame and Duke quarterback, now getting set to hear his name called at some point on probably Friday or maybe even Saturday of the NFL draft, Riley Leonard is going to join us. Stu Kovacs is back. Of course, Stu is back because Riley Leonard's going to join us, and we know Stu is a big Notre Dame honk. And Moist Mike here with me as well. We are 2 days away from the NFL draft. Thank God we are 2 days away from the NFL draft. There's a little info on Shedeur Sanders today. I think the latest info on Shedeur Sanders is this. I'm not sure who the Saints are going to pick at 9 on Thursday night, but I think I could safely say that it won't be Shedeur Sanders. Now, that is coming from Jeff Duncan, who is the longtime columnist talking about the Saints and covering the Saints for NOLA.com. So if that's Jeff Duncan saying this, I think that's a pretty safe assumption that when we go through the draft and you see with the first overall pick, Cam Ward go number 1. I know there's some Peter Schrager trade chatter today about the Browns and the Giants potentially moving off 2 and 3. I don't buy that. I think the Browns are taking Travis Hunter. I think that the New York Giants are taking Abdul Carter, and I think the Patriots are taking Alligator Arms, which people think I don't like Will Campbell because I say that. I just find it to be a funny nickname, and I do think Will Campbell is going to be a heck of a player in the NFL, but I would be pleasantly surprised if we get to Thursday night when the draft starts, and I'll be a good company guy here. JR and Bart will be doing the draft show. JR will be in Atlanta. Bart is actually going to be on the site of the draft at legendary Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So he'll be broadcasting somewhere there for the NFL draft. So when you're listening to the draft show and you hear the commissioner getting up to the stage, boo, you suck, even though Roger Goodell, I don't really hate him these days. I used to can't stand his guts, but I think he's the best commissioner in sports. But when you get to the first pick, it's going to be Cam Ward. The second pick is going to be Travis Hunter. The third pick is going to be Abdul Carter. And then the fourth pick is going to be Will Campbell. If we are coming in on Friday talking about something that isn't just stated or someone that wasn't just stated in the first 4 picks, I will be very surprised. So really the Jaguars at 5 is when the draft starts. Right now, I still think it's going to be Mason Graham. You've heard a little Ashton Genty. You've heard a little Tet McMillan. So you could get a little ooh-ah reaction there and see if it changes. But I will still go with Mason Graham. In at 6, I think the Raiders, as long as Ashton Genty there, they're going to scoop him up and they're going to take him. Then with the 7th overall selection, could you get an Armin Membu? Could you go offensive line if you're the Jets? Yes. I think it's going to be Tyler Warren. At 8, I think it's going to be Jalen Walker out of Georgia going to the Carolina Panthers. But even if I'm wrong on a few of those picks, let's just say I'm right that the Browns, the Giants, and the Raiders don't take Shedeur Sanders. Then at 9, don't be sitting here anticipating that the Saints are going to take Shedeur. And you know it and I know it. This is going to happen. Whatever draft coverage you watch, I'll say with the 9th overall pick, right before they get the announcement, people will go, oh, is this a landing spot for Shedeur? Well, Jeff Duncan just said, I'm not sure who the Saints are going to pick at 9 on Thursday night, but I think I could safely say that it won't be Shedeur Sanders. So once Shedeur doesn't go at 9, Shedeur is already the story of the draft. I think it's the biggest story of the draft. It's the most intriguing story of the draft. Then after that, it becomes when will Shedeur go? And as we have laid out here for really the last week, the Steelers, I think, are the safety blanket at 21. Do the Steelers maybe move up a few spots to get him? It's possible. But I think the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21 is the absolute farthest Shedeur Sanders will fall. Remember, Mike Tomlin supposedly really liked Shedeur Sanders after their meeting together. So that's where I think he will end up going. But could you see a team like the Giants or the Browns or the Raiders or the Saints make their selection at 2, 3, 6, or 9 and then find a way to jump past and move back up before the Steelers take it 21? I do think it is possible. But that's the latest on Shedeur Sanders right now. The Saints are not expected to draft him at 9. And coming in on Friday, I could guarantee you this. Well, I shouldn't say I could guarantee you it because last year we had Michael Penix go 8. Last year we had Bo Nix go 12, and those are things that were surprising. But I would be pleasantly surprised if when we get into the studio on Friday after the first round is in the books, and we get on the air at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time, if we're not talking about Shedeur Sanders in some capacity. So that's the latest on the draft. When we get to quarterbacks for this upcoming season that are not associated with the draft, well, Brock Purdy did something today that I don't know if it was unexpected, but it's news. So Brock Purdy is in the midst of negotiations for a new contract. There is some sort of stalemate. One week you get a report they're nowhere close, and another week you say, okay, they're not that far away as what people think. Well, this is from earlier this morning from Adam Schefter. 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy, who has been discussing a new deal with the San Francisco 49ers, is in attendance today for the start of the team's offseason workout programs. Some thought Purdy might have stayed away without a new deal, but that's not the route that Purdy chose. So I respect that from Brock Purdy. You're being the nice guy. You're being the good teammate. You're the leader of that football team. People will question what you can do in the NFL. Right now, I don't think Brock Purdy is going to get... I don't think Brock Purdy right now is a top 10 quarterback in the league, but I do think he's going to get easily top 10 money. I think he's going to get 52, 53, 54, 55, maybe even as high as $56 million a year. It will be in that range of 52 to probably $56 million a year for Brock Purdy. Now, you could sit here and say he's not worth it, and I understand it. You could sit here and say, Zach, what other choice do they have? They clearly like Brock Purdy. He has been their guy. He has been to an NFC Championship game. He has also been to an additional NFC Championship game and a Super Bowl. I do believe that ultimately, especially with the hand that the 49ers have already showed us, and they tipped their hand, they made so many moves to open up salary cap space to accommodate who? A new Brock Purdy contract. Now, the real fun starts with Brock Purdy once he gets that contract. But what happens if maybe they don't get a deal done this offseason? I think they will. But if they don't get a deal done this offseason, Brock Purdy is still the most intriguing quarterback in the NFL this year, one way or another. Because if they pay him, people are going to have the easy target on his back, and they're going to say, hey, can he live up to that contract? Especially with some pieces getting taken away from him this offseason. If they don't pay him, it will be the ultimate prove-it spot for Brock Purdy this year. So I'm very intrigued by one Brock Purdy. So let's do this right out of the gate. Who are the 5 most intriguing quarterbacks entering the NFL in 2025? Not the best, but who are the 5 most intriguing? And then I'll have Stu and I'll have Samter jump in the conversation. They'll give me a quarterback each. I'll go 5-1 here, not 1-5. So 5 least intriguing to 1 being the most intriguing. A guy that I just mentioned who's expected to now fall on Thursday night and is expected to fall out of the top 5, fall out of the top 10, fall out of the top 15, and may even fall out of the top 20. I'm saying Shedeur Sanders. There's been no buildup really with Cam Ward in this NFL draft. A month probably after the college football season, it became clear that Cam Ward in all likelihood was going to be the first quarterback off the draft board. And then it became crystal clear a few weeks after that the Tennessee Titans were going to take Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick. But there has been a lot of back and forth and a lot of discourse around Shedeur Sanders. And I think a lot of it has been unfair. I think Shedeur Sanders is a lot better of a quarterback than the way that he's getting talked about right now. And I've sat here, and I'm sure you guys are probably tired of me talking about this. I've said I thought that the Cleveland Browns should take him at 2, and if the Browns don't take him at 2, I think the Giants should take him at 3. And I then said, if the Giants don't take him at 3, then the Raiders should take him at 6. And I said, if the Raiders don't take him at 6, then the Saints should take him at 9. I said that. I said that all along. I started at 2, then moved to 3, then moved to 6, then moved to 9. There is a difference on what I think should happen and what will happen. Those words, should and will, you're probably sick and tired of me saying those words on this radio when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. I think he should be the second quarterback taken. I think he should be the second overall pick. But I have already waved the white flag and acknowledged not only that it will be 2, he won't be 3, he won't be 6, he won't be 9. So if he falls to 21, and if he does go to the Steelers, You're walking in with DK Metcalf and George Pickens and also Pat Freiermuth and also Mike Tomlin as the coach and Arthur Smith as your offensive coordinator. And you have a team that you know is good enough on paper to make the postseason. And you want to see if Shedeur can prove people wrong and can quickly prove people wrong. Because I do think, and we'll get to more of this later in the next segment, that if Shedeur is the draft pick for the Steelers at 21, I do think then they're out at Aaron Rodgers. So wherever Shedeur goes, I think he's one of the top 5 most intriguing quarterbacks in the NFL entering this season, because it's when is he going to play? Who is he going to play for? And also, is he going to be able to shut some people up early? Or will the criticism that he received be justified on the early returns in year one? So I put Shedeur Sanders in at number 5. In at number 4 for the 5 most intriguing quarterbacks entering the 2025 season, Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's a really good quarterback. I think that if we put Justin Herbert in a draft of all the quarterbacks in the league, he wouldn't go in the first 5 picks, but he would go in the first 10 picks. And there would be a lot of people that would want Justin Herbert as their quarterback. You could do a lot worse than Justin Herbert at the NFL quarterback. I don't know how much better you can do. Like, clearly, Mahomes is better. Clearly, Josh Allen is better. Clearly, Lamar Jackson is better. Clearly, Joe Burrow is better. I think Jalen Hurts is better. But I would say outside of those 4 that I mentioned first, there's at least a healthy debate on where Justin Herbert can be ranked. The problem with Justin Herbert is we used to use an excuse, you had Brandon Staley doing his yoga poses and being a terrible coach. That held back Justin Herbert. Now you have Jim Harbaugh. You didn't have a ton of weapons last year. You don't have the greatest weapons ever entering this season, but you do have Ladd McConkey, who is a very good wide receiver in the NFL, and he proved that last year. But what else are you going to do? And I would have liked to have seen them be a little bit more active in free agency when it came to addressing the wide receiver room with the Los Angeles Chargers. Because now you walk into the season still with Quentin Johnston and Mike Williams. So can you find a way, like Emeka Egbuka, if he's on the board there in this draft and you could go get him, I think that would be a very good move. I did like the Najee Harris signing this offseason. I think he will fit well in the Jim Harbaugh regime there over with the Los Angeles Chargers. But you got your feet wet. You outperformed expectations last year if you're Justin Herbert, but the season ended on such a sour note with the turnover machine that you were in that playoff game up against the Houston Texans team that wasn't really all that special when you take a look back at last season. So now this is time for Justin Herbert to go from being good, from going to being very good, to utilizing the Jim Harbaugh connection and becoming one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, an elite quarterback, because he has all the tools to do that. In at number 3, and the 5 most intriguing quarterbacks entering 2025, Shedeur Sanders in at 5, Justin Herbert's in at 4. I'm putting Caleb Williams in at 3. Caleb Williams last year got outplayed by Jaden Daniels. Quite frankly, I also think Caleb Williams got outplayed by Drake May and also by Bo Nix. He is supposed to be a generational talent. He is supposed to be the savior of the Chicago Bears. You have a new head football coach in Ben Johnson. You got 3 new offensive linemen in Jaxson and Dolman and Joe Thuney. We'll see who you're able to add coming up on Thursday night, picking in at number 10. And you also have DJ Moore, and I think Rome Odunze will have a nice bounce-back season here in your number 2. There's no more excuses for Caleb Williams. You have to be the guy this year in Chicago. You need to start showing that, because they got you the right coach, right? They got you a coach that fits you well, and they also improved your offensive line, and you have enough weapons there. In at number 2, let me play you some audio from yesterday. It's J.J. McCarthy. This is Jason Avant with us yesterday talking about what he anticipates from J.J. McCarthy this year with the Minnesota Vikings in his first true season as a starter for school.
He's about to set the league on fire. J.J. McCarthy, when you think about it from the outsider perspective, you let go Sam Darnold, and then you didn't see one single Viking player come out in the media and say anything about it at all. When you have a guy like that and you have an organization like the Vikings have with their coach, I think that J.J. McCarthy's going to set the world on fire, and I think that they know something that nobody else knows.
J.J. McCarthy's in a very good spot, and I like the point that he said, because you had Jalen Johnson, remember? You had also the wide receiver in DJ Moore come on out and basically made it clear that they didn't want Caleb Williams. Now, I think that was them just being good teammates to Justin Fields, but it went over the top, and I recognize that in the moment. And now all is good with DJ Moore, and all is good with Jalen Johnson, and all is good with Caleb Williams. But no one really said, it's like unfortunate Sam Darnold's leaving. So I think people know what J.J. McCarthy could be capable there, and there's also a trusting factor in what Kevin O'Connell has done. But with how that team overachieved last year, even though they lost in the wild card round, but with how many wins they had in the regular season, now you have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones back, and Sam Darnold, you could replicate what he did, but can you not only replicate it, can you be better? So I think J.J. McCarthy is the second most intriguing quarterback out in the NFL this year. And then in at number 1, it's Brock Purdy. Because whether he gets paid or not, if he does get paid, it's can you live up to the hype? Can you live up to being a $50 million a year type of quarterback in this league? And maybe that number is a little bit closer to $60 million than it is $50 million a year. But if you don't get paid, you already lost Deebo Samuel. McCaffrey coming off an injury. Kittle has his own contract situation right now. Ayuk coming off an injury. Can you find a way to show that you're worth what you think you are worth? So those are my 5 most intriguing quarterbacks entering the 2025 season. 1 Brock Purdy, 2 J.J. McCarthy, 3 Caleb Williams, 4 Justin Herbert, and 5 Shedeur Sanders. Stu, give me a quarterback that's not in that top 5 that intrigues you entering this season.
So I am intrigued by Tua. Now, last year he only played 11 games, only had 19 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He was one of the breakout quarterbacks the year before, got paid. So the intrigue with him is, 1, can he stay healthy? And 2, can he become a top 10, 8 quarterback? Because right now he's definitely outside of that top 10.
I think the Dolphins are in the worst spot you could be in. They're not bad. They're not great. They're nowhere close to getting to a Super Bowl. They're nowhere close to contending to get to a conference championship game. No one's picking them to win that division. It's going to be Buffalo. And they did go all in, and clearly there's limitations where they could just make the playoffs or they could just miss it. Tua did show his worth last year, though. When he got hurt, that team stunk without him. But you kind of alluding to in the Brock Purdy conversation, they paid him. So once you pay him, tough luck. Like, no one's going to want to hear those excuses. You got to go out and you got to show that you're worth that money. So even though Tua kind of proved his worth a little bit in his value when he was hurt, that's not the way that you want it to be done. You want it to be done with him winning a playoff game, or him winning 2 playoff games, or him having stats that would suggest that he's a top 5 quarterback or a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. So that's a good one. Samter, what do we got?
Well, you know me, I have a list. No, I was going to go with Aaron Rodgers, but we don't know if he's going to be in the NFL. But Aaron Rodgers is like just what he's going to do, and does he have one more year left? But I think for me, the most intriguing one is a guy who went to the NFC Championship game last year, Jaden Daniels.
Ooh.
We know that he had a historic rookie season. Is he going to be the next guy? Is he going to take that mantle from the Josh Allens and the Lamar Jacksons and Patrick Mahomes when they start getting towards the twilight of their career and be the guy in the NFL? He has that talent. What he did last year was historic. So for me, as much as Caleb Williams has a lot to prove,
you want to see a little bit more from Daniels.
If Jaden Daniels takes that next step, he's going to be a
different level of stardom.
And he'll surpass Jalen Hurts in my eyes as far as top 5 quarterback. If he takes that next step. Talent-wise, I think Jaden Daniels has.
Let's see him get to a Super Bowl. Let's see him win a Super Bowl.
You know what? With the talent that he has on that team, what he did last year is almost as impressive as Jalen Hurts winning a Super Bowl.
Oh, hold on.
The Commanders are not a good team.
What? They have Terry McLaurin.
You've named one guy.
I'm just saying, it's not as if they have a bunch of scrubs on that football team.
Every team has 3 or 4 good players. Overall, the Commanders roster and that team is not a great team.
It's not a great team, but I wouldn't say that they're a bad team.
No, they're not a bad team, but 90% of the quarterbacks, 80% of the quarterbacks in the NFL last year
So
have less than
let me be
9
clear.
wins with this roster.
I'm not crushing you for your opinion because what he did was so ridiculously impressive. But when you say it's more impressive than Jalen Hurts, let's just remind people.
I said almost as impressive.
Okay, let me just remind people. Jalen Hurts outplayed Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. That's the most impressive thing you could do in the NFL right now. But after that, it's in the zip code. You're not far off on that. It is in the zip code in terms of you took an organization that is usually associated with an outhouse and you brought them to the penthouse or, pretty close to the penthouse. Maybe you let them off on the floor. They walked around, they got a tour, and then you just said, go back in the elevator. Let's see if you have the money to stay in the penthouse. But you're in that ballpark as well. But yeah, look at CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud actually had a better year than what people are going to give him credit for because the line stunk. All those wide receivers got hurt, and he still won a playoff game. But it could change very quickly from year 1 to year 2, where now Jaden Daniels has kind of taken that baton from the shine that CJ Stroud had. I would say, though, before I said Jaden Daniels, I'm intrigued by Justin Fields on one last opportunity. I don't expect it to be all that great, but I am intrigued by Anthony Richardson. Can he shut some people up? I'm intrigued by Trevor Lawrence, too, just to name some other quarterbacks in the NFL. I think it's a big year also for Jared Goff and Jordan Love in addition to that. And also, you know what? I think this is one that was left off the list. And I think we all left it off the list. What about Michael Penix Jr.? Drafted early at 8. They gave the money to Kirk Cousins, had some good moments, some slight few good moments at the end of the season. Now, what are you as a full-time regular season starter? And also, Bryce, there's a lot of intrigue. Bryce Young, too. We didn't talk about Bryce Young. Kyler Murray, we didn't talk about him. What about Geno Smith and Sam Darnold? This could be one of the most intriguing years that we have when it comes to quarterbacks.
We didn't even mention Dak. And I know that Dak is Dak, but it's still the Cowboys,
cares?
and it's still Dak.
Yeah, but let's be real. Dak's going to show up. If he's healthy, he'll put up good stats. Come playoff time, if they're there, they'll choke. That's what they do. Maybe they win a playoff game at most.
But the fact that we named 16 quarterbacks, basically, and Dak wasn't even one of them, there's just so many intriguing storylines behind center here.
Put it this way. If you want to say who's intriguing entering this year in the NFL in terms of quarterback, Josh Allen, I get it. There's a storyline in terms of can you find a way to outplay Mahomes? Well, he's outplayed Mahomes. He just hasn't been able to beat him. But you get what I'm saying. I'm not going to put him in there. I think there's legitimate intrigue with Tua. I think there's legitimate intrigue with Justin Fields. I think there's legitimate intrigue with Drake May. Shedeur Sanders, if he's starting for the Steelers, whoever starts for the Steelers, is a legitimate intrigue. The Bengals, I think there's intrigue with Joe Burrow because you were able to keep Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. The Browns, not really intrigue, if I'm being honest. If Shedeur lands there, different story. But right now with Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, not so much. CJ Stroud, can you take that next step? Anthony Richardson intrigue. Trevor Lawrence intrigue. You have Cam Ward, number 1 overall pick intrigue. Mahomes, no intrigue, obviously. Justin Herbert intrigue. Bo Nix, can you replicate an intrigue like Samter's saying with Jaden Daniels? Geno Smith intrigue. Think about that. There's so much intrigue right now out of these quarterbacks. Samter made a good case for Daniels. Whoever's playing for the Giants, if it's Russell Wilson, maybe not. The Cowboys, not really. Jalen Hurts, not really. Goff, yes. McCarthy, yes. Love, yes. Williams, yes. Baker, not really a lot of intrigue. I think he deserves the benefit of the doubt. Penix intrigue. Panthers intrigue. Derek Carr, what the heck's going to happen with him? Is he hurt or not? That's intriguing. Stafford, not really a lot of intrigue. Just how many more years is he going to play? Sam Darnold intrigue. Kyler Murray intrigue. Brock Purdy intrigue. Think about how many intriguing quarterbacks we have this year. I think I didn't name only 4 or 5 that I would say are not intriguing. Wild, wild, wild. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Is Aaron Rodgers about to play himself? We'll give you that answer next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, I'm going to ask a simple question. I'm curious what the answer is. If, let's say, on Thursday night, and it's going to be a two-part question. I'll give you the first part here. If on Thursday night, Shedeur Sanders falls all the way to the Steelers at 21, is that it for Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh? Do they then say, you know what, Aaron, you waited too long. We were ready to go. We're not going to then sign you because we'd rather rock and roll with Shedeur, and if we need to throw Mason Rudolph to the wolves the first few weeks of the season, we'll do that. Stu, If Shedeur is drafted by the Steelers, does that mean you then anticipate them being out on Aaron Rodgers?
I would think so. I don't think the juice would be worth the squeeze if they have Shedeur, even if he's maybe you don't know if he's going to be ready for week 1, but still, like, you're going to use him this year. I don't think having Rodgers as a quarterback backing him up at some point is a good idea.
Samter, what's your answer here?
Yeah, I think so.
You think that they would bring in Rodgers or no?
No, I think that I honestly think that, there's a fracturing, it seems like, happening in the locker room, maybe, that players are getting fed up with this.
Yeah. Cam Hayward, TJ Watt.
So the fact that the Steelers have come out and said, like, Rodgers' decision doesn't impact them, I feel like they have to just tell their locker room, like, hey, we're not going to put up with this nonsense. Now, those guys, they want to win. I get it. They want to win now, right? They're older. But at a certain point, you just have to say, like, we're not putting up with this junk.
I actually think if you bring in Aaron Rodgers, you feel like you have a chance to win a playoff game. And that's how kind of sad the standard has fallen for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But if you ask me, would you rather have Rodgers for a 1-year chance to win a playoff game in what could be his final season in the league, or would I rather have the hope, and even if it's a little bit of a bumpy road to begin with Shedeur Sanders, would I rather the hope long-term there? I would rather have the long-term hope if I'm a Steelers fan when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. Now, here's the second question. Let's just say I'm right, that Shedeur goes to the Steelers at 21, and then I agree that would then be them out on Aaron Rodgers. Is Aaron Rodgers not only playing football next year, but let me answer that and say maybe he's not. The Vikings then don't get back in on him. Maybe he makes a pitch to the Steelers. Oh, it's a 1-year run, like I was saying to the Vikings, a 1-year run, and I'll be a great mentor to Shedeur. And maybe Mike Tomlin's like, yeah, we don't want to do that. Then there's really no destination for him unless if an injury occurs either during the season or in the build-up to the season. So what's the one word that you would use if Aaron Rodgers gets played here where he was waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and then basically he took himself out of any tangible destination that we could think of right now? If that's the end of Aaron Rodgers' career, what's the one word that you would use to describe that, Stu?
Disappointing. Because I think when you take everything into account with what he could have been, just the one Super Bowl and how it's ended, it's kind of going to be a disappointing ending.
Samter, what would your one word be?
Pathetic.
I thought you were going to say joyous. I really did. You despise Rodgers.
For me, I want my quarterback to put his head down and get his ass to work. Right? Like, I hated Tom Brady, but I respected the hell out of him because the one thing the dude did was he didn't...
Hardest worker in the history of the NFL.
Worked his butt off, got on his teammates on the sideline, showed passion and emotion, was the first one in the building, the last one out of the building, treated his teammates with respect on and off the field, even if he was angry about certain things, never called people out. He was a grinder, and he was good, and he was smart, and he would talk to the media, and he would hold back. We see how he could be now and open, but Rodgers is everything that Brady... He's the opposite of everything that Brady has ever been.
Yes.
Opposite of everything.
Mm-hmm. And Rodgers has more talent, and Brady outworked him, and Brady was the better quarterback because of that. Now, Psych Manter in the YouTube chat said, here's my one word, sucker! I kind of love that. That's a great job by Psych Manter. I'll give you my one word, sad. Think about this. This is one of the top 10 most talented quarterbacks we've ever seen. Arguably, just in base of talent, maybe top 5. He has all these MVPs. And right now, at the end of his career, he may have to hope that either someone gets hurt this offseason, the Vikings go back on their word, or that the Steelers don't draft Shedeur, or even if they do draft Shedeur on Thursday night, then they'd at least still be interested in him. Wherever he goes, he's not playing for a championship. And let's be real, that's why you wanted to see Aaron Rodgers play another season. It was not that many of us thought he can because he hasn't been great in 3 years. But for the last 6 or 7 years, the question with Aaron Rodgers, can you get another Super Bowl? Can you get to another one? Can you win another one? And we know the answer is going to be no. So I think it's a sad ending to the career if Aaron Rodgers potentially gets shut out of playing this year in the NFL. But you waited, you dragged your feet, and you're kind of getting what you deserve, because you could have made a decision by now and already said, oh, I'm going to Pittsburgh, and maybe we're not talking about the Steelers drafting Shedeur on Thursday night. All right, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll update some of the biggest storylines in the world of sports with some audio next. We call that segment the News Brief. Update time first. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance, who offers this riddle. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com. The NFL Draft is always about speculation and intrigue, and there could be a shakeup at the top. ESPN reports both the Browns and Giants are taking calls about their first picks at numbers 2 and 3, respectively. Kirk Cousins a sight today at Falcons training as they begin their voluntary off-season workouts despite his tenuous status in the organization. There's a trio of NBA playoff games tonight, beginning with the Bucks and Pacers in Indiana. After advancing the conference finals a year ago, Indiana wants more, and an interesting wrinkle to tonight's game 2 with Damian Lillard returning after missing over a month with a blood clot. Indiana head coach Rick Carlisle is bracing for that possibility.
When there's a potential to add a guy like Lillard to the mix, I mean that's extreme. You know, you're putting a first ballot Hall of Famer into the lineup, and so look, we've played against him enough. We have an idea of what to expect there.
The Thunder host the Grizzlies after a record 51-point victory in the opener, and the Lakers look to even things up with the Timberwolves. The Islanders fired GM Lou Lamoriello. I'm Rich Chuck. You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining.
1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. The Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the Armed Forces, DoD veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. This week's player is Clippers guard Chris Dunn. And last night's 105-102 win over the Nuggets. Dunn had 3 steals and a block. LA as a team forced Denver into 20 turnovers. Good tweet here, by the way, from Antoine Burrell, who's listening to us. Zach, the Steelers said earlier today that they are bringing in 4 quarterbacks to camp. They'll have 4 quarterbacks go to training camp. That's fine. So I guess Rodgers still could be in play. But if you're drafting Shedeur sitting in there at 21, are you going to then bring in necessarily Aaron Rodgers to fulfill that quarterback room? All right, now you have Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson. Skylar Thompson does nothing for me. Mason Rudolph, let's be real, doesn't do anything for me. But at least he does something for people in Pittsburgh because they keep on bringing him there. So if you get Shedeur, that's 3. Just because you want to bring 4 quarterbacks to camp, and Omar Khan said that earlier this morning, doesn't mean that the 4th quarterback you're bringing in would be Aaron Rodgers, especially after you would potentially draft Shedeur Sanders. But a good tweet and a good line that was started out there by Omar Khan, who in his pre-draft press conference, right, Schefter even put it out there. We go to camp with 4 quarterbacks right now. We have 2 on the roster, all options on the table on how we acquire those last 2. Let's update some of the biggest stories of the world of sports with some audio. We get to a news brief right now.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Extra, extra, read all about it.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Peter Schrager on the ESPN, his new home earlier today. Possibility that the Giants and Browns could be trading down?
There have been phone calls made to both the Browns at 2 and the Giants at 3 with the intention to move up from several different sources telling me there are teams who are looking to get up in this draft to either the 2 or the 3 spot. The assumption being to move up to the 2 or the 3 spot, it would be for Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, or the running back, Ashton Genty, who everyone expects to go somewhere in that 5 to 7 to 8 range. There have been teams making calls, and those teams are not immediately slamming down the phone.
Yeah, you can entertain the phone call. I don't think that if you're both passing up on quarterbacks with the Browns and the Giants, and no one is moving up to go get a quarterback, even though I think Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter are the 2 best players in the draft in that order. So maybe you get a king's ransom for one of those 2. I think if you're passing up on the quarterback, you're 2 and 3 in the Browns and the Giants, you need to go get Abdul Carter. You need to go get Travis Hunter. So I think that the first 4 picks of the draft, once again, Cam Ward, number 1 to Tennessee, Travis Hunter, number 2 to Cleveland, Abdul Carter, number 3 to the Giants, and I do think Will Campbell will go 4 to the Patriots. Todd McShay on the Todd McShay podcast. The Giants are split on what to do with the 3rd overall pick.
Until I tell you, or maybe Schefter breaks it or something else, like all the information I'm getting, and it's from trusted sources, is that it's going to wind up being Abdul Carter at 3, even though there are people in the Giants building, as we talked about yesterday, that are pushing for Shedeur Sanders.
I could see they've done a lot of work with Shedeur, more than any other team in the league. So I could see why you're still pushing for him, and maybe there's some in there. Well, if we all want to keep our jobs, maybe we need to go take Shedeur Sanders. So yesterday, this article came out. There is a lawsuit that accuses Shannon Sharpe of sexual assault and battery. Tony Busby is actually representing. He was the attorney that started everything against Deshaun Watson. He is actually representing the woman who is proceeding with this lawsuit. So Shannon Sharpe responded to this lawsuit earlier this morning in this video.
This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey, Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup. Coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about.
So let me be clear here. I'm not saying Shannon Sharpe did this. I'm not saying he didn't do this. I don't know. But how many times when someone gets accused of something and they stay silent, a lot of people will say, oh, well, if I didn't do this, I'd be speaking out against it. Sometimes you're advised not to do so by your attorney. He at least addressed this as clearly as he could and said that, even to the point where, oh, go release the 10-minute video. You know, why only release 30 seconds? Go release the 10-minute part of this video where you could use your imagination of what's going on in the way that it was described. So I don't know what happened here, but it is weird when something like this happens. Or not weird, that's not the right word. It's unusual when something like this happens that someone addresses it this directly. Here is the recorded phone call with Shannon Sharpe and his accuser. This was recorded by the accuser.
Anything I say, you're just going to like get mad at and you're just going to hang up on me. So I feel like...
I'm not going to hang up on you. Here's what it is.
What does that even mean?
Nothing, Gabby. You want to be a to me now, so...
I don't want to be... Don't manipulate me.
Oh, Lord have mercy. If you say that one more time, I'm going to choke the out of you when I see you. Thank you.
Well, I don't want to be choked.
Yes, you do. I don't think you have a choice in the matter.
So if that phone call is literally second by second, yeah, that's not a good look for Shannon Sharpe saying you're going to choke the girl the moment that she said, oh, I don't want to be manipulated by you. So that's what we have on that. Let's go to, this is a weird news brief today, I'll tell you. The Cavender twins. I actually saw this. I think this is at UFC because they were there. And this was at Miami for UFC 314. And Kai Trump was there, right? Her grandfather is Donald Trump, the president, and he was at UFC. And Kai Trump was having a conversation with the Cavender twins, who were both ripping Carson Beck. One of the Cavender twins used to date Carson Beck, and now they're no longer a couple. Here was that little conversation.
Nobody likes him. And he wouldn't talk to people. He's like an ego. He's like, he wanted people to stop him and like take a picture. He would like flip off people in the bar and I'd be embarrassed. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'd be like very embarrassed and I was like, oh my God, how are you? Anywho, so like I broke up with him. And then I broke up with him and like all these cheating shit came out. I had no idea. I didn't break up with him because of cheating. I broke up with him because of like who he was.
Yeah, so I don't know. You could obviously date someone and then you realize they're not the person that you thought you were dating. But it's tough to say that nobody liked him as you were dating him, right? Or if it was the sister who said that, like, nobody liked him. Like, you had to like him to some extent. But that's just a weird whole situation right there. Now, one of the twins got engaged recently to the tight end Jake Ferguson. the Dallas Cowboys. So I guess that's the end on the whole Cavinder twins situation for this show today. Let's go to Charles Barkley, NBA on TNT. Here's a message for Nico Harrison.
Listen, man, I consider you a friend of mine, Nico Harrison. Man, don't do no more press conferences. Like, I don't even know what you're doing. I really don't. Like, I got sympathy and love for you, but I have zero idea what you're trying to do. This war is over, brother. You got to take in the L. I hope you keep your job. I hope that team get healthy, but man, don't do any more interviews. Please don't.
I said this like 3 weeks ago. Every time this guy opens his mouth, whether it's on the record or it's off the record or it's made to be public or it's made to be behind the scenes, he's trying to justify a situation right now that you can't justify. You don't look good in it right now, Nico Harrison. So shut up. Stop talking. And it's rare that I would advocate for a president of basketball operations, general manager, to not talk. But in this case, it doesn't do you any well because you think you're the smartest guy in the room. You think, oh, well, just because my guys got hurt this year, I wasn't able to prove that this move was right. You're not going to look good in trading Luka Doncic, getting very little back in return by just telling us, oh, well, if we're healthy, this is going to happen. You got to prove it. Because last year with Luka, what did you do? You got to the NBA Finals. Now, you're the biggest joke in the NBA. You're also the biggest joke in sports. And you should just shut up and work in silence until you prove people wrong. And then you could pop off and speak. But until then, shut up. All right? It's that simple. All righty. Alexander Ovechkin. Like, does this guy need another feather in his cap? He already has the most goals of all time. Last night in overtime, he got the Caps to take a 1-0 series lead up against the Canadiens in the first round. Here's how it sounded on the Capitals radio network.
As the puck comes toward Beauvillier, Ovechkin was in the vicinity and a shot here from Beauvillier. Chance, they score! And Ovechkin got it! His first overtime game winner! Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Montreal! Alex Ovechkin, the overtime game-winning goal! Caps lead the series 1-0.
Kind of crazy. So he has the most goals in the history of the NHL, we know that. Last night he has 2 goals and assists. He nets the game winner in overtime. He's never had a playoff overtime goal with how long he's been in the league. That, to me, was the remarkable part. And I know for years, right, the Caps did struggle in the postseason, but he has won a Stanley Cup. So that was crazy last night when I heard that, and I didn't know that. And they had it on the TV call. They were like, oh, he's never had an overtime game-winning goal in the postseason. And then literally 15 seconds later, there it is. It finally has happened. All righty, we'll take a timeout. Hour number 1 in the books. What a quick first hour of this Tuesday show. We're coming on back after these short messages. You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show across all great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM Channel 375, the free Odyssey app, and streaming on YouTube. You can always give us a call, 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476, or you can follow me on social media at Zach Gelb, ZACHGLB.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Howdy, how we doing? Hour number 2 of our radio program. That's right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. If you're a fan of Notre Dame football, if you're a fan of Duke, or if you're just a fan of quarterbacks from college this past year and you're getting set for the NFL draft that comes your way on Thursday night and continues on Friday and Saturday, coming up an hour and 30 minutes from now, Riley Leonard is going to join us, who was in the national championship game this past year. All righty, let me tell you that this NFL draft preview is sponsored by Ego, tools that deliver or exceed the power and performance of gas without the noise, fuss, and fumes. For any outdoor challenge, count on Ego. Tools to deliver the power, performance, and innovation you need. Ego, power beyond belief. We're going to do this right now. Maybe Stu could cue up a little NFL music as well, but I'll explain what we're going to do. Oh, Stu was ready. Ready to go. Oh, well, actually, we're going to audible here. I thought we were going to, this is live radio, folks. So fade out that music, make it sound horrible and all that stuff. I didn't know that Roman Harper was joining us today. So our buddy Roman Harper is going to join us. I thought we were about to do this segment, because this is what's on my rundown, on who's going to land where. So we were going to give you a destination like Pittsburgh Steelers. And we were going to go around the room, and Stu would say, I think Shedeur Sanders is going to land with the Giants. And Samter said that, he'll land with the Saints, let's just say. And then I'll say, he's going to land with the Steelers. So that's what I was anticipating on doing. But like all good quarterbacks, Omaha, we will call it audible. We will not do that here. We'll now punt that to 4:40 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to do a little prospect profile here. And we're going to do that with Roman Harper, who is about to join us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Don't you love just how radio works sometimes? Obviously, I do. And Roman Harper does a tremendous job for the SEC Network, and I see that he's joining right now. So whenever I get the clearance that Roman Harper is good to go, we'll play you that whole little sounder. We'll do the prospect profile and all that jazz, and then we'll talk to Roman Harper about Jalen Milroe, who is a very, and I mean a very intriguing prospect in this draft. I didn't think he had a chance a few weeks ago to go in the first round. Now he's going to the draft at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So I guess there is not only an opportunity, but maybe even an expectation, at least from the Jalen Milroe camp, that he is going to go at some point in the first round on Thursday night when we have the top 32 picks and we have the first round of the NFL draft come and go. So without further ado, I'm not talking about Freddie Adu. Let's hit this edition of Prospect Profile.
The Combine is over and the 2025 NFL Draft is almost upon us.
With the first pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams. The Carolina Panthers select Bryce Young. The Jacksonville Jaguars select Trevor Lawrence. The Cincinnati Bengals select Joe Burrow.
Let's find out whose stock is falling and whose stock is rising.
Jackpot, baby!
And now it's time for the Zach Gelb Show to give you an inside look at some of the biggest draft prospects in this edition of Prospect Profile.
Alrighty, now we will go to talk about a little Jalen Milroe right now. Roman Harper, the former Alabama Crimson Tide safety, did win a Super Bowl in the NFL, played for the Saints and also the Carolina Panthers. Now does a kick-ass job for the SEC Network. He is kind enough to join us right now as we will discuss about the former Alabama quarterback. Roman, appreciate the time. How you been, my man?
Zach, I'm always good, man. I usually just listen to you on the radio once everything goes down here in Charlotte, but actually getting to talk to you and see your face, man, I'm always happy to say what's up to you. You know that.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. So this Jalen Milroe conversation is fascinating to me because at the end of the college football season, I would have said, he should probably go back to college. Now he's going to the draft on Thursday, so I guess he expects to go in the first round. Do you expect him to go in the first round?
I wouldn't use the word expect. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I've seen crazier things happen than a quarterback getting taken maybe a little bit earlier than what we all anticipate. But look, that last game was brutal for him at Michigan in whatever bowl game that was. But at the end of the day, I thought he should have left as well. There was nothing else that he was going to be able to improve upon or possibly prove or show to NFL guys. Look, if you want to go learn how to play quarterback in the NFL, go to the NFL. That, to me, that's my honest opinion about it. Because you got certain elements and aspects of college that just don't translate over into the NFL. And the only way to really get better at being a better NFL quarterback is getting in an NFL locker room, seeing what it's like to compete against guys, having an older veteran quarterback around you, talking to you about your eyes, what the ropes are, fine-tuning your footwork, understanding that in college you're in shotgun all the time. It's just not the same game. As much as college is starting to, as much as the NFL is starting to take little bits and more pieces of the college game, it's still different. And so I always, after the season, I thought he should have left because at the end of the day, you want to go be a better NFL quarterback. I think you're athletic enough. I think you're good enough. You got the arm strength. You had a lot of highs. And if you came back to college, I think it would allow other teams and GMs to just find more ways to pick more holes in your game. Because that's all they do. The more film they got on you, the more they think they got you figured out and the more holes they put in your game. So go while they know less. And I appreciate what Jalen Milroe was able to accomplish at Alabama. You had this emptiness at the end of the year, at the end of his career, because his last year wasn't as good as the year before. But one thing about Jalen Milroe, he's a special athlete. And I just wish as a quarterback, he made some of the things that are easy. Like some of the easy things you want your quarterback to be able to do, he makes them hard. And some of the hard things that nobody else can do, he makes them look pretty easy. So he has to figure that balance out.
Yeah, and that's the big word, balance. Because I know we all want a franchise quarterback. We all want our quarterback to play great all the time. Like what he did up against Georgia was very special. But then there's games like Oklahoma. There's games like Tennessee where it's just so horrible. Like the ceiling is so high, the floor is so low for him, and he just hasn't been able to give you that average type of middle ground game when I watch him.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts, he was like perfect example if you knew exactly what you're going to get every week. And I was in the Carolina Panthers locker room at the time, and Ron Rivera would come talk to me. He's like, I love Alabama's quarterback. I love Jalen Hurts. I'm like, really? I'm like, everybody else is kind of just not impressed with him all the time. He's like, but I know exactly what I'm going to get out of him every single game. Like for me as a head coach, especially a defensive-minded head coach, I can win with that all day because I know exactly what I'm going to get. I don't get the highs and the lows. I just get the same thing. I can build around that. And so that is what Jalen Milroe has to try and learn to continue to add into his game, is that he has to continue to do just the little things right all the time. So then I can count on that. That second down play call that I know you're super familiar with, I don't need that air meld. I need your feet underneath you. I need that to be a completion every single time. So those are the little things that, but then you also saw like Jalen Milroe, he was a better thrower of the football than Jalen Hurts was in college at times. Like Jalen Hurts was not the player that he has been. We just underestimated the value of hard work and who Jalen Hurts was, that how much he would improve since he left high school. He's gotten better every single year I've seen him play football since high school. I've seen it. And you're hoping Jalen Milroe has that type of ability as well, that he can continue to improve. Similar system. He also played under 3 different offensive coordinators when he was in school. So that's another credit that, a lot of coordinators and GMs are going to say, I mean, we just need some stability around the young man because he had all these different coordinators, different coaches every year. And so what fits well with him, let's figure that out. And then let's go feed him that more and not just say, hey, he's trying to pick this square peg into a round hole.
There's 2 quarterbacks that get mentioned when we talk about Jalen Milroe. You mentioned Jalen Hurts. Yeah. I also mentioned Anthony Richardson because it was really all or nothing at Florida. And you know what? I'll mention Josh Allen too because he had all the physical tools. The question was, would that accuracy ever come together in the NFL? And obviously did, and now he's the second best quarterback in the game. Like, I know it's tough to do in terms of...
Hold on. Who's the first? Pat Mahomes?
Yeah, you know what? Mahomes wasn't talked about, though, as much as the other guys were really talked about.
No, you're right.
But when I look at Milroe, I remember the conversations about Hurts. I remember the conversations about Richardson and also Josh Allen. So, but yeah, in terms of quarterback rankings, that's the way they meant it. Yeah, Mahomes is 1.
Okay.
Do you disagree with that?
Well, no. I agree with Pat 1. I think I like Lamar over Josh, but I understand it. I respect it.
Lamar's 0-2 against him in the postseason, so I think that's the tiebreaker. But if you want to tell me Lamar's 2, I'm not going to sit here and tell you you're an idiot and a moron and a dope. I won't do that. But when it comes to
I agree.
When it comes to Jalen, where's your confidence? Like, he has the tools. He seems like a great kid. He says all the right things. But where's your confidence that Jalen Milroe puts it together at the next level?
I think because of what I saw Jalen Hurts do, I am more confident in him to be able to do that. But it also has to be the right system. I think where you go, when you go matters. Instead of trying to say, I want to be this top 10 pick, which means you usually go to a bad team. And they anticipate you playing more often right away. And so you're not around the best situation where you're able to cultivate, you're able to learn. I think all those things will matter. When my final vote is said, I have the confidence that he will be able to do it. But I think where he goes to matters just as much. Who else is in the quarterback room? Who else is over there teaching him and he's willing to learn and work? Because, Anthony Richardson, like you said, such a high ceiling. And man, this guy looks like a linebacker, like a creative player. And so I understand why he was drafted where he was drafted, even though I was nervous. I actually thought Anthony Richardson should have went back to college before when he left. But when you say you're going to go top 3, top 5, I get it, right? And so now it's I want to say I'm positive about Jalen Milroe, but I'm also hesitant as well because of some of the things I saw in college where it's like, man, I just got to have that throw be made. And it doesn't happen. And whether it was the lack of protection in the pocket, also ball security being a big thing where every time he got in the pocket, sometimes he let the ball go. These are little things that he has to tighten the screws up on if he wants to be ultimately super successful in the NFL. And trust me, that's everybody. It's not just Jalen Milroe. This is the same story told about Roman Harper when I got drafted. I got there, I was a different player than when the time I left. It's because I had to get better. Like, genuinely, you got to get better. Nobody cares about how you get in the locker room. It's all about what you do once you get there. That part of the NFL game never changes.
And if I'm a Jalen Milroe, I would love to go to the Rams. I would love to get drafted by the Steelers. But Roman,
Yeah.
I feel like this is either going to be the Browns or it's going to be the Giants. And you may have Malik Neighbors in New York. You may have Travis Hunter, which would be fun with the speed in Cleveland. But it feels like Jalen Milroe is going to go to either Cleveland or the Giants. That's my opinion.
You know what? I have no idea. Look, I'm excited for the young man to even accept going to the draft. I think the NFL has done it completely different the last few years, since COVID, really, where all of a sudden they figured out, like, you know, the normal viewers and things, we're fine with not seeing them in person. We're cool with just a bureau cam, put it at a house, and we get to see all the family aspects and all these other things. A lot of people have taken more advantage of that. They don't go to the draft as much as they used to, but him going there, he thinks that he has a chance to get drafted in the first round. I don't know about that. I definitely think he's a second or third round pick for sure. That's just what quarterbacks do. But it's also about the experience. Going up there, like, I didn't get that invite. I probably would have went too, and I was a second round pick just to say I went to the NFL draft because it's things we've seen as a young man our whole lives, and you don't actually get to physically do it. And so to even accept the invite is big time for him, and I'm happy for him and his family because he has great family, a great upbringing, and a great personality. And I can't wait to hear him say "Roll Tide" on TV again, like they always like to ask for him to do. And we always celebrate it. So he's another one of us, man, and just really looking forward to him and everything that he's been able to do and accomplish in college. Hopefully he gets the same type or even close to the same type of success because I know there's going to be a lot of pressure on him. And I still am confused why he just didn't run the 40 at the combine. He ran a 4.3. Did he not think he was going to run a blazing time? Because I think if he would have did that in front of everybody too, he's going to end up exactly where you're kind of nervous of him being, is that top tier or that first round quarterback, maybe late in the first round. But if he would have ran in front of everybody, the world would still be talking about it.
Roman Harper here with us. When your Saints are on the clock at 9 and they pass on Shedeur Sanders, how would you react to that?
I'm fine with it. I don't think they're set up to win right now. I want them to go get. I think. Look, when you got a top 10 pick, you just are in striking distance to bring in a real impact player right now that can really change your whole organization. Is that Shedeur Sanders? I don't know. I don't even know if they got enough healthy bodies and players around Shedeur to allow him to be who he truly can be. And so that is why I would say that I would be slow on the quarterback, taking him at 9. Just understand, because you don't have the supporting cast around him to put him in position to be successful. And so if everybody's comparing Shedeur to a Kirk Cousins has his limitations, and it's because the players around him have to make their plays too. And so I don't know if he is or he isn't that. I think I want to go either defensive star, and it's a lot of defensive stars in this draft pick. So if the Mason Graham kid slides from Michigan, I think you turn the paper in right now, because that helps you out with the pass rush from the interior side to help with Brian Brzee from Clemson that you got a couple years ago. But it also shores up the run defense because this guy's a stop sign up front. And so he's better on that side of it than Brzee. So he can really, really help this team. I don't know if he slides that far, but if he does, I like that pick. And then also, and I know the Saints don't do this often, but drafting Will Campbell from LSU might be also in the playing cards as well. I also love Armand Membu, from Missouri, the right tackle. I watched a lot of. I watched this kid for the last 3 years just destroy people at Missouri. Nobody knows about him, but he's a zone run scheme guy. That's what system he comes from, and I saw him bury people for 3 years. So anytime you can go offensive line, you can't go wrong either.
Before we let you run, Roman Harper, I know, right, with you doing the great work for the SEC Network, you've seen Jaxson Dart play a lot. That's another guy. I know it's quarterbacks, and this is a great quarterback draft class. I would only use a first-round pick on Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, and maybe I end up being wrong, but I don't see why Jaxson Dart should go in the first round.
So I did not anticipate Jaxson Dart going in the first round even when this whole process started. But like you said, that's what happens, Zach. You know, people start loving on him. And look, the one thing I think he does better than most quarterbacks is that he knows how to layer the ball extremely well. That second, third level throw where he needs to put it over the linebackers, crossing, deeper crossing
Unless
routes.
he's playing Florida, I'll tell you that. He didn't do that well up against Florida.
Well, look, man, Florida finally figured it out by the end of the year. And look, that's Ole Miss's whole deal. I think that's more about being Ole Miss. We are Ole Miss versus like just Jaxson Dart. Ole Miss has always found a way to lose the game that they're not supposed to lose every single year, not just under Jaxson Dart's helm. So, but Jaxson Dart's more athletic than you think. He's a tough kid. He played in a great system where you're going to showcase really well under Lane Kiffin. And like I said, he had a ton of talent around him this past year. And so I think he layers the ball extremely well, but his arm's not like overbearing, but he knows how to throw a nice, easy, catchable football. But Zach, man, you know what it is, man. People love quarterbacks, and they're the most overhyped, overdrafted position in the game. And so that's what we deal with. And so you got to try and figure out who needs one and where they're going to fit out or where they're going to be at, because I think it's a couple other ones. The one from Louisville is another quarterback that everybody, another quarterback that I've never even seen. All of a sudden somebody's talking about him and they love him.
And look, these are a lot of quarterbacks that didn't play all that well. Look at the hype that we've had with Arch Manning the last 2 years. I know Texas is now in the SEC. And there's even some talk, even if he balls out this year, it's not necessarily a guarantee that he's going to go to the NFL draft next year. I can't wait to see Arch. I don't think there's a more intriguing player in college football than him right now.
Well, you know, it's amazing, Zach. And I know the Mannings extremely well, from Archie all the way down. You know, being in New Orleans all those years, I know these guys very personal. And it's amazing to see what family will do around young players, right? And we got a couple really great examples, but we also, college football with no structure, like who's to blame for some of the decisions and things that are going on with this game right now. What you just said about Arch Manning, making all the money in the world, living life. All he cares about is being a college student. Why? Yeah. Because he's enjoying where he's at. His parents and everybody around him have cut out all the white noise around you. You just focus on doing this. Everything else is going to take care of itself. There's no rush to grow up when you already know it's at the end of the road, because the people in front of you have already done it. They've already seen it. They've already experienced it. We take all the pressure off you. And so Arch gets to just be Arch. He just gets to be a teammate. He just got to be Quinn Ewers' backup last year and was no pressure on him. He didn't even care about it. I don't play. It doesn't bother me. I'm not going anywhere. I chose to come to Texas to be with Texas and learn under Steve Sarkisian and be that quarterback, right? That's what he chose to do. Then you got another example, not trying to call him out, but I'm going to call him out. Nico Iamaleava, all right? You're going to make $2 million plus this year at Tennessee on a playoff team. You choose to leave because you want to outbid yourself, whoever you're listening to in your corner, all right, the adults in the room. And it's a bad deal. Nobody won in this deal, Zach. Nobody. But this is what we're getting in today's game. And you got two great examples of what to do and what not to do. And it's all about, and because everybody's going to treat you like an adult. When money's involved and when big decisions are made, you're going to get treated like an adult. And so I root for Nico to be successful at UCLA. But the bottom line is you took less money than what you want to going to get in a state that was going to be tax-free to a state that taxes you at a high amount. And you went from a playoff team to a team that's still just trying to be more relevant. And now what is the Big Ten?
He shot himself in the foot. That's what he did.
Yeah, it's crazy, but this is what we're getting right now. So we all got to talk about it, because if you don't watch out, you got to know about the pitfalls that are out there in front of you. And I love my father to death, and he's a great man and all these other things. And he coached me in high school. But if I need to sign a contract, with a professional team or something, my dad ain't going through it because he's not professional in that. You know what I'm saying? You got to go and make sure you got people around you that's going to help you make the best decisions. That is the benefit of being an Arch Manning more than it is a Nico Iamaleava standing today. Now, we're going to see in 5 years, and all Nico's got to do is go out there and win and win and win more, and then all this goes away. But until that moment is said, we're going to continue to look at both of these examples, one, two, what to do and what not to do.
All right, one last thing, and I'll let you run, Roman Harper. Getting back to Alabama. Last year at times, I thought, okay, they're definitely going to the college football playoff. They stubbed their toe a few times. They were able to get back up, but then at the end of the season.
It was the Oklahoma game, Zach.
That was it. Yeah, that did him in. There's no doubt about that. Where's your confidence with Kalen DeBoer going to year number 2?
I'm very confident. I'm still worried about some things that they do defensively, schematically, because I don't understand it. I'm not in the meeting rooms. So if my eyes don't tell me exactly what it is, I question it. But it's okay. It's more than one way to skin a cat. But I love that they brought Grubbs back. He came down from Seattle, so he got his original OC back. And at the end of the day, man, when you go from one leadership group, as in Nick Saban, where you run it with an iron fist for as long as he did, and then all of a sudden you go to Kalen DeBoer, where he really leads by promoting others around him. And so it's a total different leadership style. I don't even know the guys that have been in the building, how they felt the first time they go to the team meeting and music's playing before the coach walks in. They're like, dude, this is so different. This is a personal experience. And they just like, we didn't even know like any of this was even available. Like you couldn't do this because I've only known one way to do it for 17 years with Nick. And it's just one way. And so understanding that, guys now getting your own guys into the system. Everybody kind of having their own sense of freedom, leadership, understanding what it's going to take to win. Also seeing Kalen DeBoer understand what it's like to coach at Alabama, where the first couple games, if you saw his demeanor on the sidelines.
A little different.
You saw that. You saw that. And so as the season progressed, he learned what to do better as well. Because when you're losing at Alabama, we start talking about what T-shirt you're wearing on the sidelines. Now, when you win, you can do whatever you want. But when you lose at Alabama, bro, we pick out anything to be mad at. So this is what you're dealing with. And I think he's going to be much, much better in his second and third year because all he's ever done is won. And so when people that are natural winners, they usually find more ways to win more and more often.
He's Roman Harper, SEC Network, the former Super Bowl champion with the Saints, also played with the Carolina Panthers. Always great with us on the show. Roman, appreciate it. Thank you.
Zach, man, I can't wait to hear myself later on the radio. Appreciate it, brother.
You got it. We appreciate it. There he is, the great Roman Harper joining us on the show. We'll take a timeout. We'll come on back. Kawhi dominates. Cat and Bridges a no-show. We're talking NBA playoffs when we return.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
Samter, I got a question for you. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. How many years have you been at the network exactly?
13-ish since we started in 2013.
So you always enjoy the fodder, maybe in the newsroom, right?
There were days I enjoyed it more. You know, every now and again, it just becomes a little bit of white noise. But
Well,
yeah,
let me ask you a question.
yeah,
If someone gets into it with another person
yeah.
over a sports take,
Yeah.
where one person doesn't like somebody else's sports take,
Oh, I jump right in.
right? Like you have your fingers basically covered in butter when you're touching the popcorn, right?
Oh, absolutely love it.
I walk into the newsroom during the break a few moments ago, and I see Stu walks right past me. Stu, I guess, is going to the bathroom, or maybe he's going to get a smoke. Who knows? Stu comes back in.
Please tell me he starts arguing with Gallo.
No.
Oh, the Stu Gallo arguments are fantastic.
Stu walks up to Hickey and basically said, "What are you, a bleeping moron?" He goes, "What's this bleep take?" Hickey's take is that Ashton Genty going to the Raiders would be the worst pick of the draft. And Stu, who I know we like to have fun in the image that we paint Stu. Stu is like very kind, very respectful. I think it takes a lot for Stu to basically just walk up to someone and be like, "What are you, a bleeping idiot? Like, how dumb are you?" And that's basically what Stu just did to Hot Take Hickey. So even though I was interested by the rest of the conversation, I did an about face and walked right back into the studio.
Yeah, you got out there kind of quickly.
Well, I already got my fix because Stu walks up and goes, "Are you the dumbest person here at the network?" Pretty much. Like, that's what you basically said to Hickey. So I go, ooh, that's a lot of tea right there. And then I wanted to bring it onto the air. And I want to hear Stu basically recap that whole situation. So I know you're a Raiders fan. Hickey had this take over the weekend that Ashton Genty at 6 would be the worst pick that the Raiders could make, and it'd be the worst pick of the first round. Why did that annoy you so much where you basically walked up to Hickey and said that he's the biggest dope that we have here?
Because, look, I understand the idea that, okay, the Raiders have 1,000 needs, and maybe running back might not be the best route to go when you have a draft pick. But here's my thing. There's going to be someone drafted in the middle, late first round that was ranked 50th or 60th. You can't tell me that drafting Genty, a guy who a lot of people have as the 3rd or 4th best player overall, just because he's a running back, how would that be okay, maybe it's not the best pick, but the worst pick in the first round? There's no way that would be the worst pick in the first round.
Oh, absolutely not. The dude, to me, is a top 5 talent in the draft. I said this to him back in September, that he reminds me of a combination of Marshawn Lynch, Alvin Kamara, and Derrick Henry. So if you tell me that you could get Marshawn Lynch, or you could get a Derrick Henry, or even an Alvin Kamara, right? And you get a little mixture of both, how could that be the worst pick of the first round? And also, this draft class, I think it's bizarre because there's a lot of uncertainty of what's going to happen. And I heard someone say this the other day. I forget where they said it. But someone said the other day, like, pretty much who you could draft at 7, you can make a case that, like, at 28, the player could be just as good. That's the range of opinions that people have on this draft class. So here's what I would say to Hickey, Stu, and why I think you're actually right. What else do you want the Raiders to do? So if it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as Cam Ward goes 1, let's say it goes chalk the way that I anticipate it. Then at number 2, it's Travis Hunter. 3 is Abdul Carter. 4 is Will Campbell. And 5 is Mason Graham. What else would you want the Raiders to do? Like, you're going to say go draft Ted McMillan? Is that the answer? Or, go draft an offensive lineman if it's an Armin Membu or someone like that? Like, yeah, those guys could be good players. But Ashton Genty, to me, would be arguably the best player on the board. And if you think it's Tyler Warren, well, the Raiders have Brock Bowers. They don't need Tyler Warren. And the Raiders, too, this is why I didn't get the point and why I disagree with it, is that the Raiders don't have a strong quarterback. We still don't know what the Raiders are playing for. They can't be held to the standard of, it's Super Bowl for the Raiders. I think Raiders fans just want some stability here in the Pete Carroll era. And if for 3 years you have a running back at Ashton Genty, who along with Brock Bowers, that becomes a great 1-2 punch with average quarterback play of Geno Smith for 2-3 years, I think that's fine with the Raiders. I have no problem whatsoever if the Raiders end up taking Ashton Genty coming up on Thursday night. But, man, Stu walking up to Hickey and basically saying, what are you, the biggest Stu nod that we have in the newsroom? Ooh, that was great. Did he, tug your shirt? Did you guys start throwing punches and haymakers?
No, he was like, well, who's he running behind? And that's why he said they should draft Membu and then take a running back in a second. And I'm like, these guys aren't as good as Genty.
I also love when you call out Hickey, his voice goes to a different octave, and he's like, what do you mean? How do you think it's a bad take?
He took out his earbuds and put them on the keyboard and started yelling back. Well, it's pretty great.
At least you should feel good, though, if Ashton Genty gets drafted by the Raiders. Could we just already cash the ticket for Rookie of the Year?
Oh, that's a great point.
If Hickey's against it, 9 times out of 10, it usually works.
Yeah, this is a good thing.
Yeah, he said Roy McIlroy, no way he was going to win the Masters. And then he wins the Masters. And then he's like, Bryson, he's definitely going to win. And then it didn't happen. And then he was like, Justin Rose is definitely going to win. And then that didn't happen. 2 quick thoughts on the NBA from last night. Kawhi Leonard, is there a more mysterious man maybe in the history of sports? Like, what a bizarre career. NBA Finals MVP with the Spurs, Then had that bizarre departure from San Antonio. Remember that the Spurs staff wanted to go meet him in New York and he basically wouldn't let him do so. His team was hiding him somewhere. And then goes to Toronto, basically wins an NBA championship by himself. I know there's other solid players on that team, but not your typical number 2, number 3 stars that we expect at an NBA championship team. Beat Golden State, already slayed the Heat dynasty, or, mini dynasty that was there. And now is in Los Angeles. Has not played for a while, right? Has been hurt, in and out of the lineup. Postseasons come and go. He plays for a game, then he's in the box for the rest of them. He comes back later this season, has been playing well. People are saying the Clippers are a sleeper team. In game 1, they lose. And then in game 2, as they tie up the series at 1 apiece, now with this series shifting back to LA, he had 39 points, 15 of 19 from the field, 4 of 7 from 3. Just what a spectacular performance. And who the heck knows what to expect the rest of the way? Because I can't really trust Denver right now with Malone no longer there and all that uncertainty. And the Clippers, I love what Kawhi Leonard just did. You still have James Harden on your team, though, and he doesn't usually show up in the postseason. And Kawhi, you don't even know if his body's going to be able to hold up. So what a mysterious guy Kawhi Leonard is. And now for the Knicks real quickly. What a lethargic effort last night. That was embarrassing. And give credit to the Pistons. They tied this up at 1 apiece. Now it goes to Detroit. I still think the Knicks are going to win this series, but the Knicks have basically been outplayed 7 out of the 8 quarters in this series. It was just the fourth quarter where Cameron Payne had 11 points in game 1. They won that 21-0 run. That was really the only quarter that the Knicks were clearly better than the Detroit Pistons. But geez, that was ugly. And you made the 2 big moves this offseason. And Cat, he didn't play well last night, but Cat's been good for them. Mikal Bridges, wow. He's been terrible. He does really well on the defensive end. And even in a game where he has 19, he had 0 points in the fourth quarter. And with all of that, you had a chance to go knock down a 3. You're open to go tie the game, and you were short on it. You could have wiped away all the misfortune, all the negative stuff being said about Mikal Bridges if he hits that 3 last night, and he came up small. That's an ugly, ugly loss for the New York Knicks. All righty, we'll come on back. We will get to what we were starting the 4 o'clock hour with, but then Roman Harper just jumped on in with us, and we enjoyed that conversation with him. So where will these quarterbacks land? What teams are these quarterbacks going to be taking coming up on Thursday, Friday, or maybe even Saturday? We got some predictions to make. We'll make it on the other side. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
The NFL Draft is 2 days away. A lot of talk that goes on between now and then, and ESPN reports both the Browns and Giants are taking calls on their first pick, second, and third overall. Kirk Cousins was a surprise show up today at Falcons' voluntary offseason workouts, even though his status with the team is quite tenuous right now. The night of NBA playoff action starts at the Bucks and Pacers in Indiana. Damian Lillard will return after being out over a month with a blood clot, but he has been cleared and has been working out recently. How much he plays, still to be determined. There were a couple of interesting games over the weekend, and then there were the Oklahoma City Thunder. The West top seed had the largest Game 1 victory ever, clobbering the Grizzlies by 51. And tonight comes Game 2, and with a couple of days to regroup, Thunder head coach Mark Daigneault expects to see a much different performance by the opponent.
As little preparation time as we had, they had less. So as they get their feet underneath them, we got to expect that they're going to be better. And with the way the game went yesterday, a team's response to that is usually to be faster, which they will try to be, and to be more effortful, which they will try to be. And so we got to get our head wrapped around that as we head into Game 2.
And the Lakers try to bounce back, hosting the Timberwolves after dropping the series opener. The Islanders fired general manager Lou Lamoriello. I'm Rich Jackson.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes, up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam, just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. In about 50 minutes from now, Riley Leonard is going to join the show. Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll do a little NFL draft and off-season edition of Overreaction, Proper Reaction. But first, Let's try to do this again. Take 2. Alrighty, Stu, give me the music. Alrighty, I will give you a team. You give me the quarterback. That's how we're going to do this. So what team is going to land the quarterback? Let's start off. We'll go around the room here. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Stu?
I believe it will be Shedeur Sanders at 21.
Alrighty. Samter.
I mean, does it have to be a draft pick?
Well, what else do you expect them to do?
Aaron Rodgers.
So you still don't think they're taking a quarterback at all, and you're going to bring in Aaron Rodgers?
I agree.
Okay.
If they bring in Aaron Rodgers, they're in win now mode, and they're going to bring in a guy that's going to help him win now.
I'm laughing. You go, I agree. You were the one that said the statement. Of course you're agreeing with yourself.
I mean, Michael Samter, agree with Michael Samter.
Yeah. I will go with Shedeur Sanders. I'm in alignment with Stu. I think Shedeur is falling all the way to 21, which Stu is wild because if we would have said that 2 months ago, you would have said I was crazy. If you said it, I would have said that you were crazy. There's no doubt about that. All righty, the Cleveland Browns. Stu, who's the quarterback?
I think it'll be Kyle McCord later in the draft, kind of a homecoming of sorts, him coming back to Ohio. I don't know if they want that, but that's what they're getting.
Home. Come on. I don't know if we can sing that song actually anymore, but they may be booing him at when he comes back onto the field, or if he throws an interception. He's the same guy up against Michigan with Ohio State. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Oof, oof. Anyway, Samter, Cleveland Browns. What's the quarterback?
I'm going to go with Jalen Milroe, that they'll get him early in the second round or trade up into the first round.
Let me tell you, if Jalen Milroe goes to Cleveland and you have the speed and the big arm of Jalen Milroe, even though we don't know if he could put it together or not, and you have Travis Hunter, that could just be a very electrifying offense. Also with the Cleveland Browns saying, hey, we're going to predominantly play Travis Hunter. He'll be a wide receiver first, then a defensive back. I'm going to go Jaxson Dart. I'm going to take Jaxson Dart for the Cleveland Browns. The New York Giants. The New York Football Giants. Stu?
I think it's going to be Jalen Milroe. I think they're going to trade back up maybe to the late first round and draft him. I just think, I think that's the fit. I think they'll be happy taking Carter early and then taking Milroe with their second pick, whenever that is.
Samter?
I'm going to go. The Giants are going to trade back up into the first round and take a slipping Shedeur.
Gotcha.
They do love Shedeur, but I don't think that they could pass up on Abdul Carter. So I think that they're going to take Shedeur in like the 20s or late teens.
I'm going to say Jalen Milroe as well. I think the appeal of Brian Daboll with Josh Allen, and he was able to have Josh Allen put it all together, I guess would be the appeal there with Jalen Milroe for Brian Daboll, and I think Shedeur is going to go to the Steelers. So I will go with Jalen Milroe, and you could have that speed connection of a Jalen Milroe with the Malik Neighbors. The Los Angeles Rams. I threw this team out there because it wouldn't surprise me if they ended up taking a quarterback. The Rams are very mysterious, and they keep it very close to the vest with the draft. But maybe they take a quarterback now to try to develop him for a year with Matthew Stafford still playing on the field, with the possibility that Stafford could retire at the end of the season, or it being at least year to year on the future of Matthew Stafford each and every offseason. Stu, the LA Rams.
Just feels like Sean McVay, this guy fits what he wants to do and kind of like a project quarterback. Tyler Shuck from Louisville. I think that's the guy for me that I think the Rams will eventually end up with if they draft a quarterback.
Samter, what are you doing with the Rams?
I am going to go. I love this guy, Kyle McCord. I think he's getting kind of overlooked. I think that he kind of has the same body type, same kind of approach to the game, strong arm as Matthew Stafford. So I think that if you're the Rams and you like Matthew Stafford, you like that kind of game, and you're building your offense around him for the short term, then Kyle McCord makes the most sense in the long term.
Hey, Stu, have you been looking off my paper? Because I'm going Tyler Shuck as well.
Yeah, I know. I know we have a few of the same ones, but no, this was all...
Well, actually, am I looking off your paper? Because I'm going to you first.
Maybe.
But yeah, I'm going Tyler Shuck as well. I think it's the developmental part where you could draft this guy, but it's not necessarily calling your shot on the future, and he's a big quarterback. And I think that there is a lot of potential there, even though I don't think he will meet it. But if there's one guy in the NFL that you could argue that could get that potential out of him, why wouldn't it be Sean McVay? The problem is Tyler Shuck is old already. Like 26 or whatever he is right now. It's like Brandon Whedon, honestly. So if you have him wait a little bit, how long could he wait? Like, he's already 25. He turns 26 in September. So maybe he could be your full-time starter by 27. That's if Stafford retires at the end of the year. But also last year you saw Michael Penix Jr. get drafted, and he's about to turn 25 next month. So who the heck knows the way that goes. Alrighty, next team, the Raiders. Stu? Actually, I'm going first.
Okay.
I'm going Dillon Gabriel. Smaller quarterback, played really well in 3 spots. UCF, Oklahoma, and then this past year with the Ducks, quack, quack. I see Pete Carroll maybe saying, okay, he's a smaller quarterback. Russell Wilson was a smaller quarterback. Let's throw Geno Smith to the Wolves first, and then maybe we could develop Dillon Gabriel a little bit. So I'll go Dillon Gabriel just to make sure and ensure that Stu isn't cheating off my paper.
No cheating here. Quinn Ewers, I think, is the guy the Raiders will take. I think they'll wait till the middle of the draft to get their quarterback, and I know he's visited the Raiders. There's reports that Carroll likes him a lot, so Quinn Ewers.
He's very underappreciated, too, because he had a good college career at Texas after transferring over from Ohio State, and I think a lot of it just because we've been waiting for Arch Manning to finally play a full season. So that's maybe why he was underappreciated, but he did a good job the last 2 years, get him to the college football playoff, winning the Big 12, and then this past year get into the SEC championship game. I think he's more of a college quarterback, though, than a pro quarterback. That's just me. Samter, the Raiders.
You know, one of the names I just don't see on anybody's lists for the most part and has been overlooked over and over, and we've heard some really interesting things from him. He's won a national championship. Will Howard from Ohio State. I don't think that he's going to be a star by any means, but like if you're the Raiders and you've got a guy with a winning pedigree like Will Howard who just came in to that program and just lifted them to a natty, I think you take the chance. Maybe later, like 3rd, 4th round. I'm all about that.
I love how it's like Will Howard has winning pedigree because he came alive right in the postseason. But before that, after that Michigan game, they were ready to tar and feather him and run him right out of town. But it's funny how that works out.
But I think when you look back, I think we all kind of see hindsight's 2020. That really wasn't on Will Howard in that game. That was on Ryan Day and Chip Kelly for running the ball and trying to force it down Michigan's throat. Had you just let Will Howard, do his thing and throw it to Jeremiah Smith, it would have been game over.
You're not wrong. Saints, quickly, Stu.
Jackson Dart, I think it happens in the late 1st round.
Samter?
Dart.
Okay, wow. You guys go Dart and Dart. I'm going to say Kyle McCord. I could see Kyle McCord being the guy right there for the New Orleans Saints where, he didn't play great at Ohio State, but he really did bounce back at Syracuse. I could see Kellen Moore coming from that Philadelphia Eagles quarterback factory, just taking a flyer and see if it's more of Syracuse Kyle McCord, and it doesn't necessarily mean that that's you calling your shot because I think you get McCord in maybe the 3rd round. All righty, Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network, Overreaction, Proper Reaction. Next, Riley Leonard going to join us coming up 35 minutes from now.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Hour number 3 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Coming up in about a half hour from now, Riley Leonard is going to join us, the former Notre Dame and Duke quarterback. Hey, Stu, when you talk to Riley Leonard down the line when he connects with us, will you personally thank him, you being a Notre Dame Fighting Irish hunk, for the season that he had for your football program?
Yeah, I think I will.
You'll be like, hey, Stu Kovacs, big deal here, big deal, Stu.
Well.
Just letting you know, I'm a big Notre Dame fan. Really appreciate the effort that you gave us this year. Best of luck at the next level.
Yeah, I think something like that.
I think that's nice of you. I think that is. You show your appreciation for a quarterback that did very well in the 1 year that he was there. Still wild, by the way, how Notre Dame went from beating A&M in week 1 in College Station, then losing to NIU, then going to the national championship game. And Stu, if they make that stop on 3rd and 11, when I stand up in the building and I turned to Hickey, who was sitting next to me in that game, and I said, hey, they're going to chuck this ball down the sideline to Jeremiah Smith. They're going to go for the kill shot. If they would have made that stop, who knows what would happen if Riley Leonard and company got the ball
never know.
back. And that's a game where they went on like that 20-play drive right down the field to start off the game. They scored the touchdown with Riley Leonard. And after that, the game got so out of reach. Then they had to come back. And then you're starting to think to yourself, maybe they're going to win the game. And then they end up losing. What a crazy roller coaster ride of emotions in that game. But Riley Leonard will join us coming up in about 30 minutes. All righty, let's get to a little overreaction, proper reaction. Take it away, Stu.
Another NFL week is complete, which means it's another week to freak out about your favorite team. Which takes are truly crazy.
But sometimes a game can be so bad, it's almost good. You know what I'm saying? No.
And which are so crazy, they might be right.
He's 6'5", he's 245 pounds. He's probably a Popeye's biscuit away from being a tight end.
Zach lets you know in this week's edition of Overreaction or Proper Reaction.
All righty. What do we got cooking today, Stuart?
All right, so the Rams, they are on the short list of NFC teams that could contend for a Super Bowl title, especially after the addition of Devontae Adams. However, some, including our guest Chris Trapasso yesterday, believes the Rams could draft a quarterback in the first 2 rounds. Well, yesterday, Matthew Stafford was asked how he would feel about the team drafting a quarterback.
I'm not going to play the hypothetical game with you, but no, I mean, to me, I'm worried about doing everything I can to be the best version of myself for this team. Whoever we draft, I hope they come in and help our team win. You look at it last year, our first 2 picks were guys on defense that made huge impacts on our team. So for me, I'm just trying to load this team up with as many good players as we possibly can. If a quarterback comes along and they feel the need to take him, you'll welcome them with open arms and try to teach them as much as I possibly can.
Overreaction.
Did you get blood taken today?
I did, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why there's a blue
I'm
thing on
sitting
my
there,
arm.
and
Yeah.
someone wrote in the YouTube chat, what's the blue band on Stu's arm? And I'm looking at Stu's arm, and I go, I got to get blood taken. Look at you. Partying up with Bill Ryder on Thursday, having maybe a little bit too much fun on Sunday, not being here Friday and Monday, and now humanitarian Stu giving blood back.
Well, getting blood taken. Sorry.
Oh.
Not giving.
You weren't donating
no,
blood?
it wasn't donated. It was donated to the doctor.
Stu's like, you think too highly of me. You think
You really
I'm donating
do.
other
I mean,
people's
geez.
blood?
Jeez.
You were just getting a little physical. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
How long did you have that thing on your arm for? When did you get the blood taken?
This morning.
Oh, they keep that on your arm?
Yeah, I mean, I probably could take it off by now, but it's
You're like a
just
baseball
here.
player, honestly.
Like a little armband?
Yeah,
elbow
like
band?
Giannis Cespedes or something like that. Usually I feel as if they just put a little Band-Aid on it, and that's it. But anyway, what's the question here?
Overreaction or proper reaction, it would be a mistake if the contending Rams took a quarterback in the first round.
No, because they did such a good job last year. They lost Cooper Kupp this offseason. They still got Puka Nacua. They got Devontae Adams. I think the Rams are in a very good spot where they have the luxury to be able to do whatever they want with this pick. So if you're sitting there with the, 26th pick, I believe they have, and if Shedeur is still there, maybe you get inclined or intrigued by Jalen Milroe, I'm fine with that. And if you take a quarterback in the first round, is the Rams being the team, they get the benefit of the doubt. So I don't think it would be a mistake if the Rams took a quarterback in the first round. So I'll go overreaction there.
Now, one quarterback who could go in the first round is Alabama's Jalen Milroe, though many seem concerned about his accuracy.
By the way, they're going to think your blood's funky with all the stuff you were doing over the weekend. They're going to be like, what the heck's going on with Stu?
Yeah, that is true. I might have to go for a retest at some point.
If the tests come back a little bit bizarre. Doc, was enjoying myself a little bit over the weekend.
It was a fun weekend.
That's what's going on. Okay. Continue. Sorry.
Although there are many that are concerned with Milroe's accuracy and consistency. However, according to Tom Pelissero, scouts and executives have one incredible compliment for the Alabama quarterback.
The eye-opening thing that several, not one, several coaches and scouts
told me as I was making calls about all these quarterbacks is Jalen Milroe is the greatest runner of the football they've ever evaluated at the quarterback position.
Wow.
Not Lamar Jackson. Jalen Milroe is the best runner that they've ever seen.
Wow, overreaction or proper reaction, you believe Milroe can be a better runner than Lamar?
The longevity of Lamar is really impressive. I don't know how long we're going to see Jalen Milroe be a starting quarterback in this league. Like, Lamar and Mike Vick are the two greatest running quarterbacks I've ever seen. So, to say that Milroe can be a better runner than Lamar, I think is a little premature. He is big. He is physical. He's got some blazing fast speed. But I will say this. If Lamar Jackson or Michael Vick had that final play up against Michigan, and I'm talking 2 years ago in the Rose Bowl, don't you feel like they find a way to get into the end zone? Jalen Milroe wasn't able to do so. So I will go overreaction there right now when you ask me, you believe Milroe can be a better runner than Lamar Jackson.
So Kirk Cousins' future in Atlanta is still up in the air with the draft just 2 days away. Now this week, Adam Schefter revealed what the Falcons are asking from interested teams, noting that they want teams to take on $20 million of his $37 million salary, though teams don't seem willing to pay for more than $10 million of it. Of course, if a team is willing to pay, the lower the draft pick would be that the Falcons would seek. Overreaction or proper reaction, quarterback-needy teams should be willing to cover the $20 million in salary to land Cousins.
Your quarterback-needy teams, a lot of these teams are bad teams right now. I think I would rather embrace the suck than bring in Kirk Cousins, who's going to be average. That's what I would do, or could even be good. So when you ask me, QB-needy team should be willing to cover the $20 million in salary to land Cousins. If I had a contender, sure, I would do that in a second. I don't think there's any contenders vying for the services of one Kirk Cousins. So I would go overreaction there.
So the 49ers' focus this offseason has been getting a new deal for quarterback Brock Purdy, but star tight end George Kittle is also looking for a new deal as he enters the final year of his contract. While these questions linger, Purdy has reported to voluntary workouts, while Kittle is noticeably absent. Overreaction or proper reaction, George Kittle is still a top 2 tight end in the NFL.
Entertain me here, Stu. Let's see if you get these. Most receptions last year for a tight end. You know who was one?
Was it Sam Laporta?
Mm-mm. Your guy.
Oh, yeah, it's Bowers. Right.
Come on,
Of course,
Stu.
he had like 100. Yeah, he had an amazing year.
You slammed
reception-wise.
Hickey, and you used all your energy there. Then now
I'm
you're
not
like,
used to the Raiders having good statistical performances.
Any idea who was number 2?
Is it not Laporta?
No.
Is it Kittle?
No, Kittle was 5. Guy just got a big contract.
Trey McBride.
Uh-huh. Brock Bowers had 112 receptions. Trey McBride had 111. Yards. Who do you think was 1 in yards?
Yards, McBride.
Yep. No, McBride was 2, sorry.
In yards.
Yeah, who was 1?
Bowers?
Yep.
Okay.
1,194 for Brock Bowers, 1,146 for Trey McBride. Touchdowns. Who do you think was 1? Who do you think was 2? You won't get 1. It's very misleading.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. That was rushing touchdowns that I was looking at. You could get 1 or 2. It's not 2 guys that you've already said in terms of McBride or Bowers. I was looking at rushing touchdowns. They had Taysom Hill at 6. That's what it was.
That's weird. Kelsey.
No. Guy had a big drop.
Oh, Andrews.
Yep. Mark Andrews has 11. George Kittle has 8.
Okay.
So, I'm going to say that George Kittle's still a top 2 tight end, and here's why. He had 78 receptions. Now, Brock Bowers and Trey McBride clearly usurped him with 112 and 111. But the yards difference, George Kittle's third in yards with 1,106. Trey McBride had 1,146. Bowers had 1,194. They had a lot more catches. And then also touchdowns, receiving touchdowns. Well, receiving touchdowns was Mark Andrews first with 11. Second was George Kittle in at 8. So I still think Kelsey to me is a great playoff tight end. He's not great in the regular season anymore. I would still say George Kittle is a top 2 tight end in the sport. And I would say that Brock Bowers would also be in that conversation as well. And Trey McBride, I think, is one of the more underrated offensive players in the league, if we're being honest. So George Kittle still a top 2 NFL tight end. I will go proper reaction.
So the Vikings let Sam Darnold walk this offseason and turned Aaron Rodgers away because they have faith in J.J. McCarthy. Now, yesterday, former Michigan receiver Jason Avant had high expectations for McCarthy.
He's about to set the league on fire. J.J. McCarthy, when you think about it from the outsider perspective, you let go Sam Darnold, and then you didn't see one single Viking player come out in the media and say anything about it at all. When you have a guy like that and you have an organization like the Vikings have and with their coach, I think that J.J. McCarthy is going to set the world on fire, and I think that they know something that nobody else knows.
Well, now head coach Kevin O'Connell says that McCarthy will be a full go for the entire offseason program.
What do the X's and O's look like when there's not competitive games? What do the fundamentals and technique look like when we're really trying to harness growth? And then that development word comes in where we might not be talking in the same lens that we did a year ago when everything was brand new. That's the beauty of the year we've had with him, albeit without the physical reps since the injury, but there's been a lot of time on task, and I think he's ready to hit the ground running as of today.
So overreaction or proper reaction, you expect McCarthy to have a Pro Bowl caliber season.
So when I say Pro Bowl caliber season, it's not like a Mac Jones Pro Bowl where 14 guys say no and then they invite you. That means you're a top 3 quarterback in the NFC. I have high expectations for J.J. McCarthy, not to that level though, so I will go overreaction.
There's no question that this year's quarterback draft is not even close to last year's class that saw 6 quarterbacks go into top 12. But Adam Schefter reports that, quote, at least one team does not have a first-round grade on any of the quarterbacks in the draft, end of quote. And another GM says Cam Ward, the likely number 1 overall pick, would be the 7th-rated quarterback in last year's class.
Oh, that's stupid.
Overreaction or proper reaction, Cam Ward would have been the 7th best quarterback in last year's class.
I think he would have been 4 or 5 because, yes, Caleb, Jaden, and Drake would be rated higher. After that, I think you can make the case he's 4. I think Michael Penix Jr. is the only one you could really debate. I do believe that Cam Ward would be rated higher heading into the draft process than Bo Nix and then also J.J. McCarthy. He would not have been 7th in last year's class. That's just stupid. So, overreaction.
All right, last one. The Lions were the top seed in the NFC last year, but fell short in the divisional round, falling to the Commanders. Well, now Albert Breer is reporting that in some NFL circles, they believe that Detroit could trade receiver Jameson Williams as they decide whether or not to pick up his 5th-year option. As you know, of course, Williams has had some trouble getting suspended once for gambling and once for PEDs. Overreaction or proper reaction, the juice isn't worth the squeeze with Williams.
I think that's a proper reaction. You don't. It's funny you could say this with Detroit. You don't need him. You have done that good of a job building that team. You do not need Jameson Williams. So I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze for him. So the juice isn't worth the squeeze of Williams. I would go proper reaction. All righty, we'll take a break. We will come on back. I got 3 questions for tonight, NBA postseason games. As we go to game 2s, like we saw last night, we'll continue the game 2 trend. And Riley Leonard going to join us coming up in about 15 to 20 minutes from now, right here on the Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
Alrighty, last night in the association, we saw Kawhi Leonard tie up that series at 1 game apiece. And then Cade Cunningham was sensational with 33 points. Jalen Brunson did have 37, but no one else really showed up for the Knicks offense. And I know some people are critical of Jalen Brunson today, doing too much hero ball, and people say that. How about Mikal Bridges hits that 3 at the end? All right, that would have tied it up. Mikal Bridges, they traded all those draft picks for you. I know you have 19 points. I was actually upset with myself last night because I looked at Mikal Bridges, saw the over-under was 15.5. And I said, you know what? I feel like he's going to get over 15.5 tonight. And I didn't end up making the bet. Instead, I ended up, and I rarely bet basketball. I don't enjoy betting basketball. March Madness, I did well. NBA postseason, I'll dabble a little bit here or there in the betting world, but I ended up taking the Knicks last night -6.5. Survey says, I made myself some dinner last night. I got some steak, I made some potatoes, and I got some broccoli. So I said, you know what? The cost for dinner, I'll put that bet on the Knicks game and see if I can at least have dinner be free. But that wasn't the case last night. So the Knicks and the Pistons, that's going back to Detroit, all tied up at 1. The Clippers Nuggets, you've had 2 good games there. With overtime in the first one and the second game coming right down to the wire, 105-102, and Kawhi was sensational. We progressed to tonight. Bucks and Pacers. I'm fascinated by the Bucks tonight. Now, here's the good news. Damian Lillard is playing tonight. So that story came out, a few hours ago from Chris Haynes. Milwaukee Bucks star Damian Lillard will make his return tonight for Game 2 against the Indiana Pacers after dealing with a blood clot that sidelined him for over a month, league sources tell Chris Haynes. Damian Lillard for a while was one of my favorite players in the NBA. Actually, not one of my favorite. My favorite player in the NBA. But this experiment, and, obviously it's good that he's doing a lot better because it was so unfortunate with the blood clot situation. But this experiment in Milwaukee just hasn't been working. And I'm going to be fascinated at the end of this run when there's always been rumors, and I've always kind of shot down those rumors with Giannis Antetokounmpo potentially wanting out. But is this the straw that breaks the camel's back? And then this is the offseason that Giannis kind of forces his way out. Now, Bill Ryder has said it, that he kind of says that's something to monitor. Brian Geltzeiler has said it as well. It's just something to keep an eye on. I know people in Milwaukee, right? I've defended you before. You get sensitive with this, and obviously you should be. But you sit here and you go, national talking head, speculating about Giannis Antetokounmpo leaving. I'm not saying he is leaving. I'm just saying it's something I have to monitor when 2 people have already brought it up, both on their own accord pretty much in the last 2 weeks. But Lillard coming back tonight. I picked the Pacers before this series. I want to see if the Bucks have a Pistons moment tonight, or if the Pacers do what the Knicks should have done last night. Grizzlies and Thunder. I'm just going to be honest here. I have no interest, 0 interest of watching the Memphis Grizzlies. Outside of if just Ja Morant's going to do something stupid when he does something. But if you're getting blown out, and if you're celebrating, whether it's like a fake gun or it's a grenade, whatever Ja Morant has been doing, it's even a worse look. We know he already doesn't get it because of what he was suspended for, and then you make a mockery of it. And he's been having a good season on the court, but that's another guy. This NBA offseason could be loaded. Durant's definitely getting traded. You'll have speculation on Giannis Antetokounmpo. If I'm the Grizzlies, I'm not getting rid of Ja Morant right now, but there will be speculation as well since he kind of, I don't want to say restored his NBA career and brought a ton of confidence back. But for most of the season, outside of the celebrations, we've been talking about a positive way about Ja Morant. I wonder if they look to move on. I would not do that this offseason, but it's just something that's curious. And for the Thunder, really, have another blowout performance tonight. Get this series over with as soon as possible. I know they give you a million days anyway in between games, especially when you're traveling from city to city. But if I'm the Thunder, get this first-round series over with as quick as possible. You are good enough to sweep. At worst case, have this be a gentleman's sweep because you look at the Western Conference, we don't even know who's going to advance through. If you see the 2-7 matchup, the Rockets are down 0-1 to the Golden State Warriors. You look at the 3-6 matchup, and you take a look at the Timberwolves and the Lakers. The Lakers are down 0-1. The Timberwolves are up 1-0. And then you get to the 4-5. You had 2 good games between the Clippers and the Nuggets right now. So I have no clue how this West is going to be. I don't know who's going to advance to the second round outside of the Oklahoma City Thunder, if I'm being honest with you. And the Warriors are probably that. The Warriors or the Lakers, I think going into the postseason, were considered that second team, especially with the Nuggets getting rid of Malone. But if the Timberwolves win, I think their stock's going to go all the way back up where it was, Last year, they got to the conference finals. This year, they didn't really have to go all out in the regular season. They were finding their way with new players coming on in after getting rid of Cat. I think people will look at them differently. You know, the Thunder, it would really be disappointing if the Thunder don't get to the NBA Finals. That's what I'm getting at here. And I know right in the NBA, it feels like you have to go through a lot of tough times in order to get through. Some people may think it's a little bit premature for the Thunder to get there. They were by far and away the best team in the Western Conference this year. They were 68-14. So I think it's the Thunder's time to get to the NBA Finals, and I would just keep the foot really just on the gas pedal, the foot in the throat, and just quickly take care of the Grizzlies so you could save those legs for later on in the when the rounds get a little bit better and the competition gets a little bit better. And then finally, Timberwolves and Lakers. Stu, where are you at with your Lakers? Because they were so disappointing, and I know that they're not the biggest team in the world, but geez, the Timberwolves look so much bigger than them. And for Naz Reid and McDaniels to really cook you in game one, you got to be very skeptical here on the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, I feel worse than I did 3 days ago. I'll say that. It's not that they lost the game, like you said. It's how they lost it, and I don't even think Anthony Edwards even played that great.
No, he didn't.
They got killed by other guys. So, okay, if Anthony Edwards has a big game, now what? So, I'm very concerned. Must win tonight. Must win.
Yeah, if you go down 0-2, I don't like your chances here. I don't like your chances whatsoever of coming on back in this series, especially then going to Minnesota. And you got to think that they'll at least get one there in 3 and 4 when you take a glance at the Minnesota Timberwolves. So that's one of those situations. I kind of feel like, though, that the Lakers get the job done tonight. Do you think they get the job done tonight, Stu, or no?
I'm very concerned.
You're worried.
I'm very worried. I hope they get the job done tonight.
Is that why you're keeping the armband on your arm right now? It's like you're like, oh, if it's superstitious, maybe I should leave it.
That's right.
I gotta inflict a little pain on me tonight to maybe get the best and squeeze every little drop out of my team tonight.
If they win tonight, I might have to keep it on all the way through the whole playoff run.
You know what? This is the armband game. I think Stu keeps on the armband. If they win, if they lose, you snip that thing right off. I expect that armband on tomorrow if the Los Angeles Lakers win tonight. I also cookie shamed Anthony Gallo. I'm very disappointed. Gallo brings Stu some Pignoli cookies. You know, Mom was making all the cookies for Easter. And I go, where the heck are the Pignoli cookies for me? So he's going to bring me some cookies tomorrow. I shamed Gallo.
Nice.
I always give him compliments. And I'm going to test those Pignoli cookies because the best Pignoli cookies I've ever had were from Jim Rome's producer now, in Tom DiBenedetto, who used to produce me with Mike Biseglia, and his now wife, Gigi, at the time girlfriend, made delicious Pignoli cookies. All righty, we will take a break. We'll come on back. Riley Leonard going to join us on the other side. Update time first. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, it seemed as if there was little intrigue about the top of the draft until today, with ESPN reporting both the Browns, who hold the number 2 pick overall, and the Giants at 3 are taking calls on those picks. The expectation was they would be used on Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter and Penn State's Abdul Carter, respectively. Perhaps they still will be, but maybe by other teams. And Cowboys owner Jerry Jones said they are working on substantive trades or substantive involving players, but declined specifics. Kirk Cousins was at the Falcons facility today for their offseason workouts, which was a surprise despite his tenuous future with the team. The Lakers' acquisition of Luka Doncic sparked a run to the 3rd spot in the West and raised expectations. Those hopes were doused just a bit with their series opening 22-point loss to the Timberwolves. LeBron James finished with only 19 points in Game 1, whereas the Wolves, who had quite a run to end the season at 16-4, take the opener. Also tonight, the Thunder host the Grizzlies after a 51-point win in the series opener. And Damian Lillard returns for Milwaukee in Game 2 against the Pacers, with the Bucks down 1-0. I'm Rich Eck.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X. Our handle is INF Sports Network. That's INF Sports Network on X.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The Combine is over and the 2025 NFL Draft is almost upon us.
With the first pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams. The Carolina Panthers select Bryce Young. The Jacksonville Jaguars select Trevor Lawrence. The Cincinnati Bengals select Joe Burrow.
Let's find out whose stock is falling and whose stock is rising.
Jackpot, baby!
And now it's time for the Zach Gelb Show to give you an inside look at some of the biggest draft prospects in this edition of Prospect Profile.
Alrighty, let's highlight a quarterback. We'll do so Riley Leonard, who played at Duke and this past year was at Notre Dame, and they made it all the way to the national championship game. And Riley Leonard is kind enough to join us right now on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Riley, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much for doing this. How you been?
I've been great. It's been good to be back home. I'm actually sitting in my high school head coach's office right now. It's great, man. It's been a cool process for me. I'm really trying to enjoy it, even though it's a pretty long one for sure.
You know, that's so neat. So we're 2 days away from the first round of the NFL draft. You're waiting to hear when your name's going to be called and when that's all going to go down. And you go home, right? You want to be with friends and family, and you go back to your high school. That's pretty neat to be able to reflect on everything right there probably today, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I didn't do it intentionally. This is just kind of what I like being around and coming home. And yeah, sign me up. It's not something forced. This is where I kind of want to be for the moments like these. I'm actually going fishing out in Mobile Bay on Thursday, day of the draft. So I kind of just like being home around the people that brought me here.
What's the home cooked meal? Like Riley Leonard comes back home, what's the first thing that you hope the family's cooking on up?
Oh, that's such a good question. Oh, there's so many different answers. My dad's steaks are pretty good. I mean, you can't go wrong with a good medium rare steak. He'll smoke it for a little bit, and then he'll put it on the grill and sear it, and then serve it. So all you need is salt and pepper if you make a good steak. So that's all he puts on it, and they're delicious.
Love it. Riley Leonard here with us. So last year, right, you guys beat A&M right out of the gate. Then you have the unfortunate loss to Northern Illinois. People are thinking the Notre Dame season is over. You guys then don't lose a game until the national championship game since that loss to Northern Illinois. How do you kind of look back at that one season at Notre Dame and what you guys were able to accomplish?
Man, it was a crazy one. It was funny. We had a documentary series people with us the whole way too, so it was a perfect story for them. They owe us a little more money than they paid us, but no, it was good. It's crazy to think like we got to the national championship after that game because like human nature would tell you like, oh, that you can't lose that game and then make it to the playoffs even. So the whole season was just back against the wall, beat people by as many points as you can just to prove to everybody that we do belong. And, I just saw so much growth and, we weren't trying to beat anybody, in the postseason. We were just trying to reach our full potential, and we thought our full potential was a national championship game. And we got there. And, I think we certainly thought that we, could have won it, but, just didn't, obviously happen. But I'm very proud of the guys and the way we fought all year.
It's kind of crazy because you look back at that national championship game. You guys start off the game on that 18-play drive. You eat up most of the clock in the first quarter, and you walk right down the field and you get that touchdown. Then the game gets away from you, but you guys show that heart of a champion. You came right back. Did you at all think about, like, man, if you guys just got off the field on 3rd and 11 with the whole play with Will Howard and Jeremiah Smith, the unbelievable play of just what could have potentially happened towards the end of that game? Like, how much do you still think about that one play?
Yeah, I could probably think about that in a million different ways, right? If I don't play Notre Dame and get hurt, my junior year, like, I don't live in what ifs. Like, I live in God's plan for my life and our team. But certainly, like, you think about certain plays, but I don't ever think about defensive plays because, daggum, if you watch the season, they carried us for a lot of the games, right? You played Penn State, and I throw a couple picks, and Christian Gray, the same guy, who got beat on one play, gets a pick against Penn State, saves the game there. Gets a pick 6 against USC, saves the game there. Dude was making plays all over the field. Texas A&M made a couple big-time plays to win us the game there. So there's no way I was thinking about that 3rd and 11. I'm thinking about, those couple drives in the second quarter where we went 3 and out.
Riley Leonard here with us. So we talked about the Northern Illinois game. That could have broke your team. Clearly it didn't. You guys dug a little bit deeper, and like we said, you made it all the way to the national championship game. Why did that Northern Illinois game? Why didn't you let that define your guys' season? Because that obviously had the ability to break a team and derail what you guys wanted to accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been really easy. Could have been real easy to just give up on the thing after that game. And, I think a lot of programs that happens, and it does. But I think the reason we stuck with it is literally because the top down had the best attitude towards the thing instead of the bottom up. For example, I went into, I talk about it all the time, but I went into Freeman's office on that Sunday after the game, and he was in his best mood that I've ever seen him in. And he obviously, felt terrible. He felt the same way I did, but he wouldn't let me see it. So he threw me some candy, had his feet up on the couch. He was just chilling. And, we meet every Sunday, and that kind of just took my attitude, and I brought that to the locker room. And if everybody saw me in a good mood and how I responded, they responded. But the secret is there's no secret. You're not going to be able to, get past that one. Okay, guys, on to the next. That week sucked. The next few weeks sucked. Every week going into a game kind of sucked, just because you're thinking, dang, hopefully that one loss doesn't hurt us. And, unfortunately it didn't. But, it would have. I mean, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, but we tried to fake it and act like it was.
Just wondering, with your relationship with Coach Marcus Freeman, as Riley Leonard is here with us, and you only got to spend a year with him being your college coach. What did you expect going in out of Coach Marcus Freeman, and did it all exceed your expectations? Just wondering.
So, when you see him on the news or, on the media and stuff like that, you probably see him as, you might see him as, this public figure, and, he's, got his own brand. But when you go into the place, he's, just an extension of the team. He's always around. He's just always there greeting everybody, knows all the janitors' names. Unreal person. I learned so much from his character because I was just so close to him. And a lot of, you could probably assume that a guy, we'll go out, if we go out to eat or something, everybody recognizes him and wants a picture with him. And I'm I'm the quarterback. But he's just so humble. And, it was great playing for him. So he exceeded all expectations that I had. I mean, how could any recruit not want to play for him?
How do you kind of look back at the college experience? Because you're in that new NIL transfer portal era. You had a good run at Duke. Then you finished it off at Notre Dame. What do you take away from both of those experiences that could maybe help you at the next level, whenever you find out where you're going to start your NFL career coming up in a few days?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think you kind of see throughout my career adversity and then, bouncing back from adversity. So I think at this point I have a huge chip on my shoulder and know that, if things don't go the way that I want them to in the draft, that I'll be able to respond. For example, my freshman year, we went 3-9. We were terrible, losing by 50 a game. And then my sophomore year, we go 9-4. My junior year, we are undefeated, play Notre Dame, get injured. I'm out the rest of the season. Go to Notre Dame, obviously NIU, respond from that. It's just constant response from me. And I think I'm at the point where I don't really care, what people think of me on the field. Obviously, I try to carry myself in the right ways off the field. But as far as my playing goes, I can never let anybody dictate the way that, I play the game. Obviously, I'm going to slide a little more in the NFL. If my coach asks me to slide, I'll slide. But as far as everything else and every other part of my game, it's just I play to win. So I'm not a stat pack or anything like that. Just go out there and play football.
Why do you believe that it could all come together for you in the NFL? What people say, oh, we know he can run the football. The arm is a little bit inconsistent. That's just what I read and what people say about Riley Leonard. Why do you fully believe that you could end up reaching your full potential in the NFL?
Yeah, I think no matter where I am, I find a way to, excel my game and play to whatever level of competition it is. I go to the Senior Bowl and get voted captain there and end up playing really well there. I think at the Combine, I did well. No matter the situation is, I'm competitive enough to rise my game to be one of the best players on the field. You saw it in the college football playoffs. I feel like walking off the field against Ohio State, I had so much more left in the tank. But there was no doubt in my mind that I could hang with anybody on the field there. And then, I think mentally I just, not to brag, but I think I have a lot of the intangibles, decision making on and off the field, and the way that I carry myself in a professional manner really complements the NFL style of, being a quarterback.
Do you feel like you're the best quarterback in this draft class? Just wondering.
Of course I have a lot of confidence in myself, and yes, but obviously I understand why anybody else wouldn't think that, but I'm just excited to get into mini camp and, hopefully be on a team with a great quarterback that I can compete with and kind of showcase my full potential, because I feel like I'm, nowhere near that yet. And yeah.
Riley Leonard at his full potential. What is it? Like if I'm an NFL GM and I'm saying how you see your career going, if everything that you think you could accomplish you do, how are we talking about Riley Leonard?
I don't know. I think you saw it in college, competing for a national championship game after being a no-star recruit and never taking a visit anywhere in high school. Really just a basketball player in high school, and then end up playing the national championship game. So all I can kind of prove to you so far is what I've done in the past, but hopefully in the future I'll be able to prove, a lot of people wrong again.
It seems like, I know you got to block some of it out, but it seems like you really thrive when people doubt you. Is that fair to say?
I would absolutely agree with that. Yes, sir.
All right, Riley Leonard, before we let you run, just getting back to Notre Dame. I know you're close with Steve Angeli. He's leaving the program, going into the transfer portal. Just how did you react to that the other day when that news came out?
Yeah, I'm always just looking for guys to touch the field. Those three guys, like all three of them, could easily be the starting quarterback at Notre Dame. And with Steve leaving, I'm like, okay, at least two of them are going to be starting and playing football. Like they're I'm telling you, they're gonna ball out. Steve's gonna ball out. I gave him a call a couple days ago and texted him again this morning. I'm really excited to see where he lands. But yeah, it was a little bit of a shocker, right? He'd been there for a while. The fans love him. Shoot, the fans love him when I was starting quarterback. You know what I mean? But shoot, anywhere he goes, everybody's gonna fall in love with Steve. He's just he's a very honest guy, and peanut butter jelly time wherever he lands for sure.
CJ Carr, just being around him, what do you think he could do at Notre Dame? Because that's where a lot of the expectation and buzz is at right now.
Yeah, I think obviously CJ has, like, if there's a 2-inch window, he's gonna, not only can he make that throw, like he knows he can make that throw. He's got all the confidence in the world, but I think Kenny Minchie's a guy who also doesn't get a lot of credit, and had a very consistent spring. I think mentally on the board, those two guys are very sharp, and they'll be in there. Both of them, they do like meditation walkthroughs where the day before a practice, they're in there for like 3 hours, no ball, going over every play, every possible coverage, just mentally seeing it. And like Kenny said, he'll sit there on a play with his eyes closed for a couple minutes. And like CJ's the same way. He's always reading these meditation, but I don't know, they're just ball players. They love ball. That's what you want in a quarterback, somebody who can't get away from it.
Hey, real quickly, just because you were talking about your journey earlier, right? Basketball player, didn't get looks, and we end up knowing what you do at Duke and then what you're able to do at Notre Dame. Just knowing that this is the week that you find out where you start your NFL journey. Like, is that kind of surreal to you? Like, how do you kind of process all that you've been able to accomplish up until this point?
I try not to even look back at much, honestly. I'm just kind of like go with the flow type guy. It is what it is. If I'm, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth round, seventh round undrafted, it's like I'm going to make the best of my situation. There's a lot more things that, you could worry about in life than getting drafted to the NFL. So, like, I'm in a pretty blessed situation right here. There's nothing to really worry about. God's got it all in His hands, and yeah, I'm not putting too much pressure on myself.
Has there been a team or two that maybe you've had more conversations with than the others? Is there any intel we could get out of you there?
There's been a couple in the Midwest and out West. We'll see.
Kansas City, one of them?
I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you or not, so I'm just going to keep my mouth shut on this one.
All righty. Entertain me with this, and then I'll let you run, because this is our bit that we do here on the show, and it's a big character bit. We started you off with food. We'll end you with food. When you're eating chicken wings, do you go with ranch or do you go with blue cheese?
Y'all are going to hate me on this one, but I don't like either. I will tell you this. Ranch sunflower chips, I'm all over. Like, best of the best. But I feel like if you get wings, I want wings. I don't want wings that get taken over by the taste of ranch or blue cheese. So, like, I want wings. Anyways, yeah, I feel pretty passionate about that too. But always bone in and always flats. So if you go to a restaurant, you always ask for flats, and half the time they'll give it to you. And always bone in. A bone in chicken wing is like just a glorified chicken nugget. Like, I don't want that.
So you need bone in. I agree with you. That's the one thing I agree with you. I'm a drumstick guy, and then I'm a blue cheese guy.
Wow.
So,
the meat is so much different inside. Wow.
Oh, it's a little bit of a character flaw. There
you go. It's all right. You'll change. You'll change.
I think you got to change, honestly. Anyway, Riley Leonard, heck of a story, heck of a journey. Really appreciate you carving out some time with us today on the week that we can find out where you end up getting your name called. So thanks for doing it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You got it. There he is, Riley Leonard, joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Fun way to end up this Tuesday edition of the show. I'll tell you, it was the most extensive answer we got on the whole wing conversation. Usually people just go, I'm a ranch guy. I'm a blue cheese guy. Bone in just likes the sauce to do kind of the work. And then he likes flats. So check on the bone in. On the flats. Actually, a half on the ranch blue cheese thing. Like, he didn't make a decision, so it's good that he didn't say ranch. But if he just likes to take the heat, hey, that's a quarterback that could be cool, calm under pressure, doesn't need any help when it comes to the sauce.
Yeah. I respect it.
Mm-hmm. Carey doesn't give a I think that he thrives off the doubters, but in terms of people placing limitations on him, he kind of gives a rat's ass about that. So I enjoyed that conversation with one Riley Leonard, kind enough to join us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. And great job by Stu, by the way, behind the scenes. I thought I said something weird to him because Stu gave me like a look when I was talking about CJ Carr. And then Stu just goes, ranch or blue cheese? Don't forget to ask him ranch or blue cheese.
Most important question.
I think it is becoming a draft staple here for the network. And I did the draft coverage on the network for a while. Out of all the draft coverage that we do, I think ranch or blue cheese is the biggest question, the best contribution that the network has had when it comes to the NFL draft. All righty. Big thanks to Roman Harper. Big thanks to Riley Leonard. Big thanks to Stu. Big thanks to Samter. Big thanks to Ack. Big thanks to each and every one of you for tuning on in to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Tomorrow we will do our top 10 mock draft with our insiders, and also Joe Thomas is going to join us. We'll try to figure out what the heck the Browns are going to do at 2. I think it's Travis Hunter. Does Joe agree with it? Should they take Shedeur Sanders? We'll find out tomorrow, everybody, at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. Have a great night. We out. Bye-bye.